That looks dope.
Posts, I think where we are right now, actually, I think where we are now is where we were when Crescendo launched. It's just there's been this hiatus of good, everyone listening and playing off the same book. So we've had a little bit of a break. There's been drama. There's been, price action and people's emotions up and down. And so there's been a little distraction. So I kind of see us as like coming back to that moment, the crescendo, and re-establishing the narrative, and that new narrative being, we're not just a fast coin, we're a standard of settlement. We, as in the Kaspa technology, is a standard of settlement, and the planet can be powered by Kaspa. So I think that's where we're at, and I appreciate your intro, Parker, because really when it comes to, and I think we're talking about marketing here, but when it comes to marketing, differentiation, uniqueness, that's critical. If we don't know what we're different, from other projects, call them competition, then you really don't have much to sell, and you don't have a baseline to build a communication strategy off of, because it's all based off of, like, we understand there's a pain point, we're providing a solution, here's what it does, and here's how it affects your life. Join us. So the differentiation part of it needs to be part of the narrative of, like, these are the things that make us different. But then the biggest part is to tie it into actual targets, like the audiences that are listening. How do we apply those, the unique differentiators? How do we apply them to these audiences? Because for everybody, it's slightly different, right? So that's marketing. So yeah, so I think we're in an awesome space, and I really appreciate Juan and Parker and so many others that have been kind of shouting out like, "Okay, everyone, we're ready to do this again," but stepping it up a little bit with a group of core, I would say core leaders. I know leaders is a bad word in decentralized projects, but this is where we're at, and I think it's going to be really strong to see a handful of committed daily people touching the project as it relates to marketing and developing this narrative to go forward. I'm done.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, gentlemen, for the intro. And hold on, Bishop is saying that he's not. You are. Can you guys see Bishop as a co-host and speaker?
Yep, I can see him as a co-host. Yep.
I see him as a listener.
You see him? Okay.
I see Live on the Kaspa Standard as a co-host.
Okay. Let me remove him and send him back. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll work on getting him up here. So, because I know, Chad, you haven't. I don't think you've met Bishop, and really, so this really aligns. And again, I'm thankful for having you guys on here and what we're looking to do. Obviously, you guys may know me from doing the blockchain banter beneath the surface on Wednesday nights. And for me, after the Bitcoin Kaspa debates is when listening to Chad for a year, and I'm a marketing guy, I'm a sales guy, and Chad and I think Chad and I are kindred spirits with a lot of very similar foundational principles. So I just appreciate how he goes about his business and how he's delivering the messaging. So I think it aligns especially with what Bishop and I are looking to do here on the Kaspa, like with the show. We're not technical people. We couldn't tell you the depths of how things work. We really want to humanize this and make it about the average person understanding what this is, right? And there's a sentiment or a feeling of crypto, a narrative that's out there, and we really do think that what we're looking to do here on this show highlight what's going on within the community, and especially with this initiative of coordinating essentially messaging, marketing, and like Chad said, right? I guess you could say leader is a bad word in a decentralized protocol, but we're all individual leaders within, let's call it, your families, or if you see Kaspa for what it could potentially be and what it is today, right? So think about everything that's happened within the year, setting aside price action, right? Okay, maybe that hasn't performed in nominal terms, but if you go a little bit in depth, and it's really complicated. It's really complicated to understand the intricacies of why maybe in nominal terms the market is where it's at. But if you dig a little bit deep, it makes sense. It makes sense with how the financial aspect of how this works and how it's being priced is reflected in the nominal terms. But we've gotten, well, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I've gotten to a point where one Kaspa is one Kaspa, and it really is about what this technology can do and what it's building towards. So again, we're looking to simplify the messaging, and again, it's perfect what Chad has done, and again, we want to be individual leaders within the community, and we need everybody to step up. I've talked about it on other shows where we want everybody to bring their individual gifts, and again, just whatever it is you can. So like for Bishop and I, it's, hey, let's host some spaces. Let's get this on Vivor is the money layer that's run on Kaspa. But right now YouTube works, right? So we didn't have a YouTube channel, so we're going to go ahead and live stream this on YouTube. We're trying to get the messaging. But there's way more no coiners. There's way more people that don't understand this and still have whether it's the bad taste in their mouth of what crypto is out there. And that is, I feel a shift. I feel a shift coming, especially with the people that are now seeing Kaspa for what it is. And so I'm thankful for Parker coming out and us discovering Parker and Chad's, again, I mentioned before, he's been a force with Bishop. Can you hear me?
We did it.
Sweet. Let me send you a co-host invite as well.
Awesome. No, appreciate you holding down the fort there.
Welcome, brother.
Really getting the show going. You guys can hear me, yeah?
Hey, Bishop.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, Parker. Hey, Chad. Chad, nice to meet you. Chad, I know you said it. You've been on a bunch of spaces and a bunch of groups all the time, but every time you speak, introduce yourself. The more people can get familiar with you, regardless. We might have listeners later that never heard of you. It's all about touching as many people as possible and being able to, just grow the community that way. So it's a pleasure for myself meeting you, and I'm sure those along the line that end up meeting you down the road will take that same pleasure. So just food for thought, I would say.
Yep. Received. I think I just hate talking about myself. I like to talk.
Fair enough.
We'll just invite me wherever you go, and I'll talk about you if that's better, Chad. I love promoting people and talking about the good stuff. So
Sweet.
same here. Nobody really likes boasting about themselves, but I love doing it for other people because I see the talent everywhere in this. And but most people don't like boasting about themselves. That's a good thing, right? We're not over here being cocky about how great we are. But you're great, by the way. So
well, it is a community effort, and that's the one thing with this model that we set up early on is that I feel like I'm just an instigator or maybe an agitator, depends who you know. But the facilitator of things and bringing the community together, educating, equipping, and releasing. So anything that's come up to this point that has allowed Kaspa to be a beloved brand, a global force, despite price, is really a tribute to the community, the ambassadors, the business developers, and people all over the Kaspa community, the thousands of Kaspa-centric channels that are putting out pretty on par, on level with the narrative messaging. And there's always going to be the outliers that are just talking about price and charts and whatever. That's part of the ecosystem. But I just wanted to iterate that the real kind of the strength of anything that we've done has really been the community.
Absolutely. That's the best part about Kaspa as a whole. It's the community. We take care of each other. I had to do that last week for those who joined that shitty show of the we won't bash him. Let him do his thing, and he'll get his success where he needs to. But as we say on this show specifically, Kaspa operates in truth, and the more truth we tell, the more people tend to just sit and stay here within the community. And I find that to be so cool. Not to derail the show too much. So me missing the first part of the show, as Juan was explaining, we're live on YouTube for the first time today, second week in a row. We're also live on X. So live on the Kaspa.s is playing the video of this as well. We have some comments already. Kaspa Hub just giving us some technical notes. There's, as of now, 54 people watching on X, which is really cool. All you guys in the Twitter spaces as well. And we're also live on Vivor, and we already received a $5 donation from Damien saying good Juan and the team. So shout outs to Damien and the cast donation on Vivor. Vivor tips, straight layer one transactions, baby. There's no muss, no fuss, no other bullshit when it comes to Vivor and its payment layer. So this is what we're looking to do, being live on the Kaspa Standard, as Juan mentioned. In simpler terms, I would say we started out on the Kaspa Standard just doing Vivor, and then we came to X Spaces because that's where everyone's at. Now we're trying to meet more people where they are as well with X video and YouTube video. So this is the new state of the show. And if anyone has checked out the stream already, everyone in the spaces, please stay there. But if you go to YouTube and X live on the Kaspa.s, give those both a like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff that everyone tells you to do. But you can also kind of see how handsome we are and how. So beyond that, that's show notes for as far as the technical stuff. I see we got some heavy hitters in the spaces right now, and we have two absolute wonderful guests today. Parker for his second time and Chad for the first time. This is episode 13 of Live on the Kaspa Standard. Let's have a good one. What do you say, brother?
Love it, man. This is exciting. It's exciting to see what this is evolving into. And we're always talking about that there can't be enough of these spaces or content creators, and that's really where all this is shifting to, right? And speaking of what you said about what keeps us in common is we're all truth seekers, and one of the phrases that came to me that I shared on one of the first spaces is Kaspa is vibrating at the frequency of truth seekers, and I want to point out, right, like that isn't something that we naturally inherently go to. Most people go towards comfort and what the crowd and what the masses are doing, right? You have to intentionally try to go look for truth and what is actually happening. But you're right, Bishop. That's one of the things that is a common theme on any spaces that you hear about whenever people are speaking on Kaspa. We're inquisitive. We want to ask questions. We want to know what actually things are. And yeah, we don't need to shit on anybody or anything or any other past experiences, including last week. I appreciate you sticking up for me. And that's, again, I had no worries that was exactly the way the community was going to respond. The good thing is that we got it out there and in the open, and like they say, even having like the back to the Kaspa Bitcoin debates, that wasn't, there was a lot of crap that came out of that, but it got a $2 trillion asset to start talking about a $2 billion asset at the time. So that says something in itself, and that's where Kaspa was vibrating at. So again, this we want to highlight again Parker and Chad here. If anybody wants to join the panel and flow with us in the conversation, have some questions for these guys, feel free to request. We want this to be somewhat of an open mic, and also obviously give Parker and Chad the chance to speak on anything that they wanted to get across on this stream. We want to move things forward. So a lot of exciting things. I see my homie Kara in the crowd, and Kara that's super cool, Kara, by the way, the game that you created in the Kaspathon. So we had the Kaspathon going on this past week. So people are building, man. There's so much going on within the community, Bishop. It's
so much, and actually,
it's crazy. That's why we need more of these spaces and more of these shows. So we're just doing this today. I see Seb down there. Seb's got cast maps going, man, and we're I talked to Seb on the side. I'll let him announce and talk whatever he wants to talk about. But yeah, man, there's more things coming. We're gonna have Kaspa spaces, YouTube streams. I even saw an OG, one of the original, Victor Resto, Mr. Kaspa Silver. I want to shout him out, baby, because he's one of the originals, one of the only people that you could go to find out like that. I stayed on Kaspa Silver's channel the first year I was trying to figure this stuff out. So big shout out to everybody. I see Moose in here is always putting out great content. We have a lot of heavy hitters, man, in this space, man. So we appreciate everybody. Kaspa KII. I see Kaspa Hub.
Yeah, Kaspa.
Yeah, man. Everyone, Brock, Jack, all you guys, man. We appreciate you guys for being on here live.
So I want to touch on something that you had mentioned, that there's so many good things going on in Kaspa right now, and the name of our show is Live on the Kaspa Standard. But one thing about the English language is live is also lit, right? And we've talked about this before. Is how do we live on the Kaspa Standard? So. What have you done this week, my friend? And I don't have to, and I'm not checking you. This is for the audience to hear, because I know you live daily on the Kaspa Standard. I have some news and updates on me when it comes to the Kaspa Standard. But how did you, my friend, live on the Kaspa Standard this last week?
Yeah, man. Talk about living in the present. That's really where my focus and energy has been. Every single moment that I can. There's been some ups and downs, some challenges, right? I shared before that 2026 was going to be about. I moved out of my spot in downtown Miami, put a lot of things in storage. Initially, I had 4 storage units, so I consolidated down to 1. I'm staying at a place local. I'm gonna rent out an office space really close to in the middle of Miami in Coral Gables. So I'm gonna work there and start building within Kaspa and other things on the side. So I have a couple little ventures that from previous entrepreneur things that I've done where I can I'm looking at, I've shared I haven't really worked for 2.5 years. I've just been studying the crap out of all out of Bitcoin, Kaspa, and obviously speaking on these spaces in the past 6 months. But I do plan on being somewhat of a nomad. I am based in Miami. I'll be here at least a week every single month. But yeah, man, it's been a day-to-day thing. I had my brother come down. We consolidated the U-Haul. I got a bunch of stuff out and just like gave it to my parents, stuff that would have just sat in storage. And yeah, man, I'm about putting in the proof of work. I've shared on a couple tweets that I'm ready to work harder than I ever. I'm a hard worker, bro. I mean, I've always put in the work. So I'm not about sitting back and just letting shit happen. I've been studying quite a bit over the past 2 years, but it is about putting in work right now. And giving back, giving and serving as much as possible, brother. So been some ups and downs. I've shared them with you on voice notes. Keep some of that stuff personal. But overall, man, I'm here to yoga this morning. That's why I'm lit right now.
Hell yeah.
So I got my yoga in, got my headstand in. Yeah, dude, things are beautiful. So we're here. We're here now. That's all that matters.
Did you end up onboarding anyone this week or tipping?
I did. I actually haven't gotten all my yoga instructors. So I do have a new pick. I got my lady Seren. I got her yesterday. I think I shared a post that one of my NFL buddies. Yeah, that happened in the past week, right?
Yep,
because that happened after last week. So last week,
because Monday night.
I was a quarterback in college, small time football. But one of my best friends runs a PT clinic here in Miami, and I get to train with a lot of these guys. I can't really mention some of the names, but you guys would know a handful of them. I'm their quarterback in the off season. So in the off season, I'm going to put in some work and throw, so I'm 44, but I can still sling it like I'm 25. So I ran into somebody I hadn't ran into being in my cave, my Kaspa Bitcoin cave over the past 2 years. And he's like, what have you been up to? I had a Kaspa shirt on and I'm like, bro, he's like, oh, I played in a Bitcoin bowl back in 2014. And we sat there, watched the Indiana Miami game. We're in a Miami crowd, right? Like I was watching it over here. It was actually where I am right now, poolside. And everybody was rooting for Miami. I was in the background. I'm the quarterback for Indiana. I'm a Fernando Mendoza fan. He's from Miami, but I just love the Indiana story. They came out of nowhere, went undefeated, and that beautiful run on fourth down, bro. The fourth and 5 where he trucked that guy and scored a touchdown. It's like it's a beautiful thing about sports, man. It's so poetic. But yeah. So I onboarded a handful of people. I think like 3 or 4 people, but I got pictures of 2.
Awesome.
That's what I'm gonna keep doing, brother.
Hell yeah.
That's what we're here to do. Yeah.
Well, because you had mentioned, we have our capabilities when it comes to spreading the love of Kaspa and what it takes for us to be able to, really get the word out there. So for me, I made a promise on this show pre-2026 that come 2026, I was going to set up a node and buy a miner. And our good friend in the chat here, Kasme, has Kasmart.org. And I saw that they were advertising a miner. So I said, you know what? Let me see. It happened to be on auction. So I'm not going to reveal the price because it's so incredibly undervalued when it comes to terms of what I paid. But what Kasmart is doing, being able to support them, all payments being associated with layer 1, like this movement of being able to buy and sell goods with Kaspa is amazing. So I won a miner. I shared it on your show on Wednesday with Kara, Blockchain Banter Beneath the Surface. Shouts to them. And I'm so excited. I can't wait for it to come. He even texted me or hit me on Telegram on Friday and was like, it's in the mail, brother. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I'm excited. So my living on the Kaspa standard since then, I bought a miner. I have to set up my node. I haven't done it yet. Shouts to Kaspa Silver. I'll be filtering through his YouTube channel to make sure I can get it done. And also, I shared on this show last week live, I bought 1,000 USD of CAS at 4.3 cents a CAS. And I'm still learning, right? Not financial advice. I'm still learning how to invest properly, to look at crypto as not a fiat type investment, right? Look at it as an investment in what the thing is tomorrow, not what the dollars mean today, right? And I'm still going through this process. And I shared with you in the middle of the week, I said, you know what? Why don't I just DCA? Why don't I just set up a $10 a day buy? Because it can't hurt, right? Like it's below, I'm below my average anyway, right? I won't share what my average is, but right now Kaspa is less than 4 cents. So if I buy a little bit every day, it's not going to hurt my average. And I know it's going to go above my average at some point. So the idea of continuing to buy instead of putting a big chunk in at once, yeah, then I'll never have to worry about buying again, because I'm just buying every day and I'm investing in this thing that we all believe in. So the one thing I need to do now in this buying every day is to do a weekly cold storage, where because I haven't done that yet. I do have some in cold storage. This is how debt-based system I am, right? Every time I go from one wallet to the other, I'm afraid it's not going to show up. You know, like that fear of missing the transaction, getting lost in the internet. I see it here. I see it on the right side. Now I need to see it on the left.
Yeah.
And I'm so worried every single time.
Have you sent Kaspa though from say Kraken to a cold wallet? Have you done that yet?
I've sent it from Uphold to cold wallet. Yeah, I've done that before, and I was nervous for the entire 8 seconds. Like,
okay, because I was gonna say it's literally seconds.
Yes,
you know, I did that with Bitcoin, and my heart stopped for an hour. You know, so
it could have been 24 days. My check cleared.
Yeah,
today.
Yeah.
My
yeah, that happened
today.
to you.
Yeah. So
oh, okay.
Cleared today. So on January 2nd. So here's our debt-based fiat system, right? And then after this, we'll get back to you guys in the audience. I just wanted to catch up on some live on the Kaspa or living on the Kaspa standard things. Yeah, man. On January 2nd, I cashed out the rest of my 401k. It took them X amount of days for them to actually send me a check. And then I took that check to the bank the very next day. I got it. And it's now January 26th, my dad's birthday. Shouts to Pop. Yeah, it finally cleared. So 24 days after I asked for what all would be considered my money, do I actually have access to my money? Isn't that fucking crazy? 24 days. 24 days.
That gets you to feel it, man. That gets you to feel what most people are going through, and people just accept it because they don't know that there's an option not to have to deal with that.
Well, and so one thing that Kaspa has opened up for me, and again, shouts to you, that mental sovereignty, right? I entered this, let's call it a negotiation with the fiat system to get my money, right? I entered this negotiation knowing I'm not getting it tomorrow, and I will get it when it shows up. And it finally showed up. So that 24 days for anyone else without that mental sovereignty would be checking their account every single day. Did it happen? Did it happen? Did it happen? They'd be checking, the certified mail number. Is it coming? Is it coming? Is it coming? Nope. I waved my hands to it and I said, this is the last time I am dealing with the debt-based system this way. So I will let the process end when it does. And any update I ever gave you, like, I'm always laughing when I say it, right? It's like, this still hasn't cleared, like, because it's so obvious. And that's what I love about Kaspa too, is like, it is so obvious. So even though I have that fear of going from Kraken or Uphold to Tangent or whatever for, I get nervous. And again, shouts to Kaspa. He's on live on the Kaspa standard video as well. Taking a look at that. He just sent just a quick little hi in the chat. He sent me an NFT because we were talking about his collection. He's like, oh, well, let me send you one. And I go, all right, send it the number 2 bishop.kas because I want to see these KNSs work. I said, but here's my wallet address also, just in case, because I don't trust it, right? Like because it's weird to believe that all this shit works, but in proof of work, guess what? All this shit works. It's so fucking cool. It's so fucking cool. Kaspa's the coolest.
Yeah. I mean, and it's, again, Chad talks about this where it's about sharing these stories, bro. So the fact that we have these conversations like we have, the first couple weeks it was you and I, and look at look at everyone who's here now. It's important to, this is how people connect. This is how people connect to what it actually does, you know, and a lot of times within this this ecosystem, we get caught up in the jargon and speaking on what this stuff does with again with languaging that we have to remember. There's these, you know, people are coming from a completely different way that they've operated and done it, you know, without even thinking. So the fact that we're where we're at, it's important to share the stories that to bridge that gap, and that's really what it's about. So I think you know, us sharing how we're living on the Kaspa standard and how we're transitioning from fiat to Kaspa and what that does. And you know, for me, it's, you know, we had maybe we'll talk about it later on in the show. I definitely want to give you know, the guys some time to share, but you know, we were talking about understanding that this is a completely different system that's repricing what's happening in the debt-based system. So that's another thing, that there's just cognitive dissonance. There isn't a frame of reference, and it literally challenges everything that we've ever learned, you know. So it's going to take some time, one conversation at a time.
Be humble,
you know?
be kind.
Be humble, be kind. That's it.
Yeah, and that's a good segue into Parker and Chad. A big reason why they're here is Parker put out an amazing tweet the other day that really challenged my my frame of reference, because again, the skill set that I bring to the table is a guy who's good at talking through a microphone. But when it comes to dissecting the jargon and translating that into everyday speak, it's not my skill set. So over the last couple of days, there's a bunch of us community members trying to get together and really figuring out how to hone the communication. So it's not just, oh, well, Kaspa's better because it's 1,600 times faster, right? You know, there's a hash rate discrepancy between other proof of work networks. And it's like, well, how do we explain that we are efficient and we are secure and all of that, and it feels as true? So the only thing that comes up is, but it's at 4 cents, you know, and then that's a different argument we can have. But trying to explain and respectfully, the very nerdy tech things into, you know, how dickheads like me and you speak on an everyday basis, like that needs to come together so it's more relatable.
It does.
And more palatable.
It does.
Because in everyday talk, I can't just, like, again, it's part of like getting my wife on board. She doesn't just believe in me because money's real and money is a problem for some people, you know, like it gives anxiety for some people. So I have to be so convincing. Well, I can't necessarily explain hash rate to her because she doesn't fucking care, you know? So trying to find how we meet all these people where they're at and give them the right, you know, information of what needs to be translated from the developers to the people is a big reason why Parker and Chad are here today. It's not like they have the magic pill. This is an open discussion. So as far as we can go back and forth to truly, you know, maybe hone in on some bullet points that we can speak to, I think is kind of what the community really needs right now. Specifically for a show like ours, where we're not into that because we don't look that way. We don't see that way. We don't see tech wise. You know, we see everyday people do everyday things, and how can we express that as best as possible?
Yeah. And I think the key thing you said there is meeting people where they're at. Right. So it's like how, and then going back to we got to simplify this for people. And I think that's what with marketing. And again, I keep shouting them out, but Chad talks about that storytelling, connecting, simplifying it. And I think that's where we start.
For sure. So yeah, guys, you know, where do you kind of see, I guess, between Parker, Chad, both of you guys, where do you kind of see, you know, our first step really going? I know, Parker, you had brought it up about having that translation between dev and everyday. What do you quite think the first step should be?
So I want to comment on something. So we have a leaderless consensus, obviously, in Kaspa, and I often describe it that way. But from a leader standpoint, what I want to turn out is leaderless also kind of means multi-leader. And so the way that I see this is it's a multi-leader coordinated effort, much like the consensus of the actual network. And I think there's been a lot of confusion around the decentralization of the communications, especially, and that has led to discoordination, and discoordination being the mantra instead of decentralization. And I think the best way to explain it, and I brought this up multiple times, and I'm probably a broken record for some people, but so anyone can spin up a Kaspa node, and each node kind of strengthens the network in some respects. But I think it's also too important to note that these nodes also coordinate around a consensus, around a network, and they all understand the same truth. They all speak the same language. And I think we need to get that right from a narrative perspective. And so I think for me, the core idea around the space today should be for anyone who wants to step up, whether it's Rory or Coin Athlete, Moose, Seb, Radical Ed I see down there, all these people, I see Victor down there and others, to just step up and let's just have a conversation around what this looks like. Let's start it. And I view today as like this day that we start speaking this cohesive narrative and not only get technical consensus, but also social consensus.
Amen.
Yeah.
So you agree?
Agreed. Was there a question in there? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, I mean, this is where I want to start it, though, right? I mean, there's this decentralization has been confused for discoordination, and this is so important. And I just want to air this because this is where we all get on the same level here. This is where it starts. I think we start here, and we can build off of that. But I think one of the first things I want to make clear is that decentralization has been confused with discoordination. I wish is Carr still here? Darn it. Yeah, and this, I just can't emphasize this enough. And Chad, you have more personal experience with this. This has been my outside view. And I speak of Jonathan. I speak with Jonathan and of Jonathan. I don't speak for him. But I would like to think that he may consider this closer to the truth rather than what many people would believe. And I hope I would be aligned with Core in that. But at the very least, let's try and figure out how we can decentralize communications. But again, that means coordinating them. That means understanding the same narrative. We could talk about features, but the same narrative underneath needs to be underlined underneath.
Yeah, it's true. And the argument around decentralization versus centralization, and one's bad and one's evil and the other's great. You're right. I think there's a misunderstanding about it. I think the tech systems, mechanisms, they should be as decentralized as possible. But when it comes to people management and like marketing and messaging, it's not that we want to create a centralized team or anything. It's a matter of like, and I use this term a lot. It's not when people say, well, marketing's centralized because a guy or studio is kind of doing it, but it's really coordinated management. And you've said both of those words, and I think that's what we're kind of aiming for is a back to coordinated, managed, marketing, kind of whatever you want to call it, and see that move forward with a common message. Because the message has been out there, the narrative has been clear. I think just we've been distracted for about a year, and so I think we got to get back to the basics and start to move towards putting it out there with some and again, bad word, authority. But it really comes down to trust. People want to trust it. And I know that Jonathan's in his real-time decentralized flywheel, which I think is brilliant, and his talk in London is awesome, because to me, I get excited because it's like, wow, this amazing genius geek, masters and doctorates and all these things is using marketing language, and I'm just like, what? That's awesome. So so that flywheel and a big phase in that flywheel is to increase trust. And I think what we want to create is a message, a narrative that is trusted. And that means that, there has to be a personal side to that, or a professional side to that. We trust Michael and team as developers. So there's that same level. So yes, I think we're at a new beginning, and this is why I've kind of taken a little bit of a step back, obviously from the main X channel, but everything else has been pedal to the metal, and we've been writing like crazy and trying to communicate. But it's nice to know, and I said this in our little group chat, it's nice to be around a table with people that get it and are kind of, we're all nodding like, yep, let's do this, and committed, and they have the time and energy to put into it, but that we're all looking to aim in the same direction and come up with messaging that can be heard and understood by the different audiences that are out there in Kaspa, and there are many. So that's the other hard part, but we need to start with a common theme. And I think Jonathan nailed it in his speech, and we've been kind of echoing it, all of us, like a lot of us on this channel right now have been mentioning it in posts and tweets, is really it's what Kaspa is unique, and it's the real-time decentralization and the standard of settlement. So I think there's a major shift in the narrative. The MVP has moved from being a fast coin to being a standard of settlement. And what does that mean to most people? Nothing. They don't get it. So how do we drill it down into common language, helping people see the pain points that they're having and how the Kaspa technology can solve that, can be that balm that will heal their wounds. So it's a big job, but I'm excited to take up this call again.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there with people not understanding what it means to be a standard of settlement.
Mhm.
And I think what it means, like what makes, I mean, there's this underlying current that we all understand, that there's something that makes Kaspa unique. And I think it's difficult for a lot of people to put their finger on it, and they feel it. And so I think that's what we should have a unique discussion around. Again, for me, it's just this idea that what is crypto? What was crypto supposed to be? What was Satoshi's vision with all of this? Was it to re-execute every smart contract on every node? Potentially, but now we can do that with off-chain compute and broadcast that with ZK verification. So is that the most optimal way to do it? Probably not. And I feel like Kaspa has set up the architecture then to do the unique things that crypto allows us to do, which is sovereignty, which is and settlement. I mean, verification and ordering and sequencing are part of that. But so, and this is what Juan and Bishop really started this conversation about, talking about the first primary use case of that, which is payments, and very fast payments in Kaspa's case, which is real-time sovereign payments, and that's one use case. We also have messaging. Kaspa is literally the only solution in the world that currently has a completely real-time sovereign messaging layer and sovereign social media network. Now, even though I disagree with some of the, like, there are bad uses, there are bad uses for everything. So, but it's amazing. There's no other system in the world. You can argue with all of your AIs about it, where you can do this and not depend on altruism. Any other system, whether it's for messaging or social media, and with more use cases coming, we'll get to that in a second, depends on people being altruistic to basically run their own server. Well, with Kaspa, you can buy a piece of the network, or a piece of what is required to use the network. Assume that if the product being built on top of it is good, people will need the asset you hold, and will need to buy it from the open market, increase the value of your asset. And that's your incentive for helping to build products and run nodes that keep Kaspa going. And this, to me, now bring this into new use cases, bring this into real world assets, bring this into just all different kinds of things that are coming with Covenants plus. But yeah, this is kind of where I see things and where I wanted to start.
No, great points, and I think that's kind of the hard part, even for me. Like, I'm listening, but then those are, I believe, 3 different places to start, you know? And for us as Kaspa users, because I posted in our chat that you know, the payment channel one for the restaurant. Us as Kaspa users understand how quick that is, and how simple that is, and how cheap that is, and how secure that is for the network to be able to use that. But that restaurant owner just wanted his Bitcoin to work. So it works. His Bitcoin works. In his frame of reference, his Bitcoin works. And it's not that we have to convince him that it doesn't work, but we kind of have to convince him that it doesn't work, right? Because if you go for the, actually, I said this to Juan in a voice note after I finished hijacking Bitcoin. I was like, oh, okay, so Bitcoiners just said, fuck Satoshi's vision. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Bitcoin just isn't that anymore. Satoshi may have created it, but it's not his vision anymore. So if they're 50% of the total crypto market cap, does Satoshi's vision even matter to those who are going to listen to us? I don't know if it does. I agree, because it seems like his vision was very important, and that's how we got here. So it is important to what crypto is supposed to be. But of what Kaspa can do, what is important to the people that we'll be talking to. And those who care about Satoshi's vision might be 5%.
This is where
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
I think that Bitcoin has become more of a single use case of preserving your buying power, and as an investment vehicle, because it really has nothing to do with peer-to-peer e-cash. So people are not reading that anymore. I think Bitcoin has found its place in marketing-wise, say as a product market fit, in preserving your purchasing power and as an investment vehicle, and that's really it. But it's a very strong narrative with all the inflation and economic issues that have been around since the 70s even. But they really came to the surface with the economic crisis 18 years ago. So the timing of Bitcoin and what everybody is feeling since then, I think made it possible for Bitcoin to become what it is right now. But and it is a self enhancing narrative by the people who tell the story to each other. It doesn't have to be true what they are saying. Most of it isn't even, but they are amplifying each other's message, so it becomes a perceptive reality for everybody who's joining it. And it's to be honest, it is great marketing of that one use case, so that's also why it's doing well. But I have also been to go to Kaspa. I've been thinking also for the last few months about Kaspa, and because I think just talking about price is there was never it should be a derivative of the core message. I have been watching Steve Jobs a few times with the launching of the iPhone, where he also had to, because that was also a paradigm shift. And I'm not really sure how to market Kaspa, to be honest, at this moment. But my gut feeling says we have to look like marketing, how Apple has been doing it, something like that. But he also had to explain on a big screen that you had a phone without hard buttons, without hardware buttons. and that you have a pointer that everybody was born with, was the best pointer ever invented, and you could swipe with it, and that is your finger. You got 10 of them, and so you also have redundancy. And they really were selling iPhone and Apple products. Yes, they were very good tech, and they would let you know it was very good tech. It was the best there is, but it is more of selling the dream, or no, not selling the dream, and acknowledging the dreams people have, and stating that you can achieve those dreams with Apple products. And so the Apple products become a vehicle for people to live their dream. So something like that. I'm not saying we have to tell people they can live their dream with Kaspa. But I was thinking in that direction. Also, if you are looking at Bitcoin, it has the same message, really. If you have Bitcoin, you can live your dream, but that's only because of the value aspect. And so, well, anyways, that is where my mind was the last few the last time.
Thank you, Seb. Thanks, Seb. And I mean, I want to hit home with the example that you did bring up, right? Apple, Steve Jobs, and think about what he was good at. He was a storyteller, and he would speak about a future that most couldn't imagine, and kind of bring you to that in the present. So, speaking to what Parker talked about, I love how he said, what is happening, here's what's happening in the space, right, is people are confusing decentralization for it's being confused as discoordination, right? So even though this is a decentralized protocol, what is going to move people is stories, sharing what this is in simple terms, right? So yeah, speaking of what Chad talked about, I do think that Jonathan nailed it, talking about real-time decentralization, this being the standard of settlement, sovereignty. But those are all buzzwords for us. Those are all buzzwords for us. So it really is about coordinating. I think it's the storytelling of that and really simplifying that message, and you sharing your message in a way that resonates and moves people. So I think Jonathan has laid the foundation for that, and us coming together and really moving that forward is what it's about. So telling the stories, Apple's a great example of what happens when you bring people to something that excites them. And that's what, so Chad talked about this before with think of Kaspa, essentially the way this is what it has the potential to do, is to be what powers everything, and people aren't going to know that they're using Kaspa. Right? Parker brought up K-Social, the messaging platform. Who knows what else is going to be built on here? But a majority of people may not even know that they're using it. Just like people use a phone. Think about these kids that use the iPhone. They just use the phone. They use the phone. They may not know who Steve Jobs is or what he envisioned back in 2007 when it launched. So that's the opportunity here. That's what we see. And I think all of these thoughts are super important in moving us forward.
I can add to that, and Seb, you're definitely right. And Apple's a great example of great marketing. We've taught marketing for years, and one of the things that we talk a lot about is it's really based off of story and emotion. Yes, things work and they're awesome, they're better than the other, but when it comes down to people interacting with it, purchasing it, buying it, telling their friends about it, does your product or message or service enter into their story? Does the stories blend? And is there an emotional connection to that message, service, or product? If you can hit those, you've got a winner, right? And so this is why, and I've said this many times before in posts and whatnot, it's like the features matter a lot. And, real-time decentralization and standard of settlement and all these things they're more than buzzwords. They're great headings to what we can say to the market, but we have to really push towards benefits. So simple thing to remember is benefits over features. So if we're going to do marketing, it's really about what are the benefits. And if you've followed us long enough, and a whole bunch of other people are doing this on X, is contextualizing the tech. So we get a post from Michael or Jonathan or whatever, and it's, I mean, I just, my eyes are crossed and my head's spinning, and it's way beyond my brain. My brain's 100 times smaller than theirs. But when I read it over and I start to contextualize it, my main goal as a marketer is to, how do I turn this into a story, add the emotion that will connect to an audience? And so every KIP that gets announced, any new thing that's pushed out in the tech side, we need to steer it towards the key audiences, miners, merchants, developers, whoever, and help them see it, why it makes their lives better. Because like you said, Juan, and everyone's saying this, like you get into your car, say you bought a new car, some people don't even look under the hood ever. They take it to their garage, right? Is it fast? Does it work? Do I look good in it? Will it take me from A to B? It's all about benefits and emotion and what it does to make their lives better. So that's what marketing is. And it's not like we ignore the technology at all. In fact, I think there's a major kind of a two-pillar approach to marketing Kaspa, and that we do need to focus on developers and the technology, and that's the language they speak. So I do think there needs to be a really solid track that speaks to the developing and tech world, but the bigger audience, the 98% that the no coiners, whatever, that's the other side, and we need to speak benefits. So it's 100% Apple did it right, did it well. We don't have the $1 billion budgets for marketing, but we could do a lot with the millions of Caspians around the world. But definitely comes down to, and this is what we're trying to do recently, is come up with some simple messaging and almost like a guide for people to go back to and grab things that they need to can say. Okay, I have this friend who's a Bitcoiner and they are asking about Kaspa, what should I say? And they should be able to find that. On and on. How to set up a node, like all these things. We just need resources so that normal people, regular people can enter into it, and they can get away from the fear, of, like I think Bishop, you said it, we had that fear, and I did when I first started in crypto, is sending crypto, even from computer to computer. It was just like freaking out, and the computer crashed, and now what? Well, we have to rebuild your wallet. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so unfriendly. And the early day wallets were just terrible. Like they were just hideous. So we've come a long way, but I think we're about to turn the corner. And going back to what, the Bitcoin really was, it exposed the problem. And this is the benefit of Bitcoin. And it's the granddaddy of the movement, and I don't think we should bash it at all. I mean, we can argue it to those that want to state, false claims or whatever, but when it comes to the technology, it exposed the problem. It created an alternative for store of value. And I've said this before, it became a protest against fiat, banking structures, big corp, big media, and it was the first to market. And all those things are like, Bitcoin, you're awesome, thank you. But then when you think about Kaspa, we can talk about it as, hey, it's built off of those same things. And from a technology side, it's built off of the same decentralization, the fair launch, the proof of work, all these things. But it's a new infrastructure layer. And I love what I think KI mentioned this a lot in their talks and whatnot, is that it's the new grid. And if you're trying to think about, how do we explain this to people? We all know the electricity grid, the internet grid, all these things, and we can kind of see it. And I think this is the differentiator. Kaspa is the new infrastructure grid that you can send data, money, things, contracts, everything on. And to me, that can be something we can build on. And it's just one of many kind of like pegs that we can put in the marketing wall that we can hang stuff on and people can get. So anyways, yeah, just do what Apple did. That'd be great. I just wish we had the $1 billion marketing budget to do it.
Well, we can definitely work through the coordination the way Apple for there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can
Totally.
figure that part out for sure.
Yeah.
We got to bring the energy. So how do you, okay, we don't have the budget, but like the energy that we bring to it is super critical.
I think
we have the personalities and the people in the community right now to have that spread. We just got to step up.
I think Jonathan in jeans and a black turtleneck would be great. He kind of has a Steve Jobs vibe, doesn't he?
Have you suggested that as a marketing ploy, right?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I love his presentation style. I love the shorts and the t-shirt and the sandals. I just think that's awesome.
It is.
But yeah, there's so much we can learn from Apple. There's so many other markets out there. If you guys go Kaspa.org, there's an article I wrote called Good to Great. And I took the book Good to Great and kind of broke it down into why Kaspa follows a lot of these principles. And there are so many companies out there that you can look at, and you can definitely lay on top of that Kaspa. But we're like in this, if there's 10 steps towards global adoption, we're still on the first step, right?
Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah,
we got a hand raised, Mr. Victor Resso, aka Kaspa Silver. Sir, welcome to the stage.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
What's up, sir? What do you
What's
got?
up, my man? Good to have you.
Victorious.
Excuse my daughter in the background if you hear her, but these days been very busy taking care of my daughter as I work my 9 to 5 and try to do YouTube on the side. So just always doing a lot of stuff. But I just wanted to add a little bit of like my mentality and going into trying to get Kaspa adopted. I mean, if you've seen my account, I go by my real name now, and I have a personal picture of myself now on there, mainly because it's making me really rethink how we approach talking about Kaspa. Because like Chad was saying that, the no coiners, that's the biggest market. Those are the people who we need to tap into. Talking to Bitcoiners is fun, whatever, can get some views. And it does help talking to them. You never know who's watching behind the scenes. That is someone who's not a biased maximalist and maybe someone just looking to diversify. And we've actually seen a lot of Bitcoiners do that. But the key thing to me is explaining Kaspa in a way that's just very digestible to people. So I recently did make a post where I kind of try to explain Kaspa again, but just in a way that it kind of showcases its features that someone may find some interest in, and then maybe want to look to find out more about Kaspa. But the main thing I realized I did not have to talk about are things like who the founder is. I didn't even have to mention Bitcoin. Things like that, I think we need to learn to slowly start getting completely away from, or even things like the silver narrative, even though, my name is Kaspa Silver. The silver narrative, I've had mixed opinions about it. And truly the narrative, I think, is really not the best way to tell people about Kaspa anymore, especially as we are seeing it just advance into something that's much more than just a monetary use case. And because of that, I think it's just very important that we just talk about Kaspa, and as we talk about it, just literally share what it does, what you use it for in your life. And that's kind of like another reason why when it comes to content, I've gotten some comments of like, oh, you haven't talked about vprogs, you haven't talked about Dagnite. And honestly, main reason is because I don't have a lot of time, frankly, to research this stuff and provide something valuable. I don't want to just like spew out, hey guys, this is coming out. I want to provide as much information as possible. But not only that, these things are still ideas and concepts. They're not really actually there. And to me, I feel like it's more important to focus on what people can do right now if they were to come onto Kaspa than so much talk about the future outlook of potential things that may be coming. Because at the end of the day, that kind of stuff are more for us who really understand Kaspa and like the project, and we are just trying to keep up to date with it. But just to try to continue sharing Kaspa and then being able to just tell people, hey, like this is how I use it today in my life. This is how it helps me in my life. I like to always mention that Kaspa gives back a lot of freedoms that people are currently going to be losing a lot of in this world as we continually rapidly approach just a fully digitalized world. We're going to be losing a lot of freedoms with that, but Kaspa is allowing us to retain those freedoms. And so I really think that's something that's like a narrative that I like to really attack with when it comes to Kaspa. And yeah, that's pretty much just what I want to share, how my thoughts are when it comes to how we talk about Kaspa to others.
I love
Yeah, I
it,
think
my man.
storytelling is
Great
storytelling is key. Yeah, and that has to be part of the narrative, giving people the opportunity to tell their stories, telling each other's stories. You know, if you have an X account, be promoting things that people are doing and saying. Story is the biggest motivator. The things that we're most influenced by changes our lives when we hear a good story. So definitely, I think if there's like some pillars within if we call it like a new narrative or a new thrust into this marketing thing, it's going to continue to be telling stories. So Victor, you are 100% correct.
Yeah, I completely
Yeah.
agree as well. And I think one thing I was going to mention earlier when I believe it was Chad that was talking about how the features of it might not be what we express. But I think what I just got from Victor there and listening was the features can be the heading though, and if the feature is peer to peer, I mean that's Juan's heading, right? Is peer to peer, and then his story that happens with peer to peer is just this joyfulness of onboarding people to what sovereignty exists within that. So I think, when it comes to sovereignty and security and all these crypto buzzwords, we do have to kind of figure out how to do the palatable explanation under there. And I'm pretty sure the most palatable way to do it, as you're saying, Chad, is telling your story. And maybe that is where we start. We figure out which heading, which feature makes the most sense for us. Because you're right, Victor. VProgs, Dag Knight, Covenants plus. What? Nope, not over here.
It's not here yet.
not over here. I could
not here.
tell you.
Yeah.
But
we don't talk about that on here. No.
But I will say it. It is part of the reason why I am so comfortable in holding an asset is because the futureness of what Kaspa can be is unlike any other technology we've seen before, and those are reasons why. Now, if I was to say that to somebody, oh, I'm invested in this thing that's worth 3 cents a token. Oh, why? Well, because this is all going to happen. Well, what does that do? I don't know, but I know that they know what it does, right? Like simple explanation. I know what it does because I've seen some things, but if you ask me to articulate it now, I can't. I just can't because it's too heady right now. It's too tech right now. And to what Parker was speaking, in that tweet was like, all of this cool shit right now is so tech verbiage, we can't even call it cool shit because by the time you start talking about it, it's not cool anymore. So I do agree, man. Victor, Chad, you guys are right on it. Whatever this feature is that resonates the most to you, tell your story. And that is where truth and undeniability really rests in Kaspa.
Yeah, and I want to shout out Victor again because he's one of the guys that I remember when I got on the Casilla messaging, we were going back and forth, and as he's mentioned, he's been pretty busy working his 9 to 5, but huge respect for you putting your face out there and putting your name out there. It's what inspired me to put my full name on here. I didn't announce it or put a tweet up or anything, but from where I operate and what I've gotten to experience onboarding these people, I've shared. I'm probably up to 60, close to 70 people that I've onboarded. I can tell you every single time, it's never started with me telling him about what Kaspa is. It's hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And then feeling the energy. So it literally is, the reason I put my full name on there and dox myself is because I'm all about living in authenticity and being myself on X, in the elevator, when I'm running into people, if I'm at the gym, if I'm doing yoga, and full respect to people that need to stay anonymous and pseudonymous. I don't have anything against that. I get it. um the opportunity here, and what's resonating and what I'm hearing is, yeah, it really is about simplifying this, and like Chad talked about, really just sharing your story, so making a connection and making this make sense to the person right across from you. Like, we're gonna be able to move some things here and there in groups and having these debates and whatnot, but just remember that we're in this echo chamber here on X. This isn't where everybody is. And if anything, get practice. That's definitely what it's helped out with being on X, and having these conversations. It's good practice. It gives you that information. But most people aren't going to care how things work. Like Chad said, who check? I don't check under my hood. I know my car gets me from point A to point B, and that's the reason people go ahead and download a wallet when I ask them to, is because, like, they feel the energy. I relate it somehow to what we're talking about in the moment. I'm like, hey, by the way, did you hear Bitcoin? And, like, they'll go to the nominal. Oh yeah, isn't it like worth 100,000 now? I'm like, yeah, it is. Download this wallet, man. I want to send you some energy. Like, I really simplify it as much as I possibly can. So yeah, appreciate you coming up here, Victor. Haven't had a comment with you in a while. I know you're busy raising the little girl, and doing what you're doing. So we appreciate you coming up here. I wanted to give, I see Moose. Moose is a speaker. We haven't heard from you. Feel free to grab the mic, brother.
Yeah, Moose has been waiting in the wings for a little bit.
Yes. I wanted to give him a chance to
give him time to get to the microphone.
I decided to drink a little wine today, so I'm a little tipsy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Vibe with us on the Kaspa Standard.
Yeah, I have. I've been listening, and I like what I'm hearing. But a single narrative is very hard. It's very hard because Kaspa is so many things. On the base layer, it is value. It is Bitcoin, but scalable. On the smart contracts level, right now, we have L2s doing the job for us because we can't do it ourselves. But we will do it ourselves on the layer 1 with WeProgs. And then we have what's it called? RTD, real-time decentralization. And none of this, Bitcoin can do money as well as Kaspa can. Kaspa can do it better, faster, more scalable. All the other cryptos can do smart contracts, but Kaspa can do it sovereignly. And RTD, no one else can do. No one else can do. And that's, when you study it, if you understand it and the value of it, RTD is sort of the end game, that there is no need for copyright or trademark or anything because no one else can do it. So yeah, go from that.
Yeah, let's do that. Actually, I love that, because if RTD is going to be, and that's real-time decentralization, right? If that's going to be a, let's call it, game changer, or one of those things that's been in the vein of what crypto's supposed to be, then I think that's a good group think right now, is how do we present, and as, so Moose, this is, I believe, what we're talking about as a narrative, is like this feature itself, real-time decentralization. How do we present this as palatable information to those who either need to hear it because they care about it, or need to hear it because they don't know they need to care about it? how do we have that conversation that, no offense, love you guys, isn't a 30-minute read in one post? How do we bring it to a very simple, it doesn't have to be 2 or 3 sentences, it could be a little bit, but it can't be so tech heavy that it's hard for people to understand even what real-time decentralization is and why it matters.
Well, if I can pitch in, maybe it's because of one of my past jobs. I'm normally I'm like 20 years. I'm an independent business consultant. Several times also a CMO, and also one time a CMO at a hedge fund startup that did algorithmic high frequency trading. And the first use case that I'm thinking of, and that's worth it's a multi-billion business, especially with the atomic composability. If you get information first, and you can have your bot, your trading bot, act instantaneously on that information, you are first. And then all the discussions that I had with Elliot about oracles and co-location to get those 100 milliseconds win, that will be something of the past. Because if you are first with information and act on it the moment it happens, even before you have the information go over the internet, you are front running everybody, all the big banks as well. So there will be some practical limitations, and distance will matter. For instance, just to give you an idea, if you have a server running in the United States but a website here in Europe, it will take a few 100 milliseconds for the information to physically go from New York to Amsterdam, for instance. So things like that will have an impact on where the algo is hosted, so to say, and which nodes will get the information first. But other than that, and maybe you will it will be you will have the situation that you have those bots physically in different continents or near internet hubs, I can imagine, or anywhere where you are. Maybe it's still co-locating in the end, but getting that information first. I mean, I think co-locating alone is a billion dollar industry. So yeah, and that means that people will do the transactions, of course, on the Kaspa chain. So that was one of the first things. But I do think RTD is the that it's far away. It's like all the other developments first have to take place to get to that end game. So we are not there yet. So that's I think that will be a few years out. But maybe somebody else is more knowledgeable about the timeline than I am. But that's what I got from it. I don't know if somebody else also has an idea about the application of RTD.
I don't even know where to start jumping in there. I think, yeah, that was great. By the way, this was the first time I ever heard Moose speak, and I've been talking to Moose for a month now, so that was a real treat, just for everyone here. Yeah, and so I want to back up from where Seb is, because he's 100% correct. But I think what's more important is, so we were talking about Steve Jobs earlier. What's important to understand is that, so Kaspa is the only architecture that makes this kind of thing that Seb talked about possible. And this is very important, what he talked about. And that has not yet been understood. So bring us back to our Apple example here. So Apple, I mean, maybe they did build this, but to my understanding, like, they didn't build all of the technology behind the touch screen. The touch screen, multi-touch capabilities, that was what made the iPhone possible. It's what made the iPhone an experience and gave one a product to tell a story that Chad and Juan and Bishop and everybody is talking about, and Victor. But the product that RTD is not there, and there hasn't been you can't show this to someone yet, right? For people's purposes, for money, Bitcoin does it. And a lot of people too, they don't have these experiences where they think, like fiat is a pain. I mean, inflation, obviously, but there are assets and things that you can invest into that make inflation and money not such a pain in that sense. And for the money purpose, again, Bitcoin, yeah. Sorry, to bring us back to our Apple example here, the technology of the touchscreen made the iPhone possible. But what Apple did was they built the GUI that made the touchscreen usable, combined with the processor, combined with the battery, brought this all together in one package. And what Steve Jobs did was then he told a story about that package. He didn't tell you a story about the touchscreen. He didn't tell you a story about the battery. He didn't tell you a story about the processor. He told you a story about what was built on top of that and how that was going to improve your life. And we're not that far along yet. This is why I started to tell a story about the messaging platform and the social media platform. Because say for someone who's been censored, doesn't have a phone number and can't use WhatsApp or Telegram or something, it's probably not many of us, but they could use Cassia, for example, as long as they had the Cassia app and some Kaspa. And it's not a killer use case necessarily, but from that starting point, now you can see, okay, I see the point of sovereignty now. If I didn't have a phone number and, I lived in a country where I was censored or somehow, or could be censored, now Cassia is useful to me. Now, you have to scale up many layers to then get to how RTD is useful. But I just wanted to start at that iPhone example and just say that, like, Kaspa is the touchscreen or is the chip in some sense. And the iPhone with the battery and the processor has not been built yet. And part of what I want to communicate is that, but Kaspa is the only processor that can even do the applications of RTD. And this is what's important.
100%. Yeah, like the markets don't buy belief. They're not. We can talk about philosophy and fundamentals till the cows come home, but they buy proof, and proof is demos and proof of concept and repeatable outcomes over time. So I definitely agree. And the MVP, the minimum viable product that we're waiting for, the big one, we don't really need to try so hard to express it. Let's amplify what is demoed right now. What is the proof of concept and what we could call mini MVPs, even though they're phenomenal. So like Parker said, Case Social and texting apps and all the Kaspathon that's happening right now is epic. We end up having 3 winners, but 200 plus applications and tools being built. These are the things that we can talk about and amplify, and we can wrap the narrative around each one of them to the certain audience. Like you said, Parker, about maybe people are being censored and they need to know that there's an app out there that can do this. So I'm big on the Powered by Kaspa initiative, is that if we are going to sell the future, we sell it on the basis of what will be the potential MVPs that will be out there. What are some applications that can be built? But right now we have a good handful of applications that can be used to sell Kaspa, and at not maybe totally. Like you said, we're waiting for vProgs, we're waiting for real-time decentralization, but we can sell the overall narrative through those MVPs. So like I said, markets don't buy belief, they buy proof. And if we want to reach the $1 trillion markets, those where the serious capital is, that's what we need to display that, right? They need to see product. At the same time, we can still tell stories and project the future and be excited about what's coming. Keep that narrative there. It kind of floats above. But the things that we can do that can really hit people's hearts and lives right now, we need to amplify. And so that's why I'm excited about these apps and why I think every one of us are, sharing and amplifying on our socials. But if we have a common narrative or, an overall narrative and then a bunch of others that fit different audiences, I think that will really help people. Instead of just saying awesome app so-and-so, we can actually tie in some messaging that goes with it that continues to hit home what Kaspa is about. And that's why, whenever you post, don't just post, a feeling, whatever, tie it back to a benefit of Kaspa. If you want to tie it back to features, that's fine. But really it's the benefits that are going to move people, and it's going to help people and even enterprise markets to see the proof. And they're going to move when the proof is there. So I agree 100%.
Can I say something?
Please.
Floor is yours.
The iPhone, the iPhone didn't take real place until the 3GS. There was an iPhone 1, there was an iPhone 2, and then there was iPhone 3, and then iPhone 3G released. And when iPhone 3G released, they released the App Store. If I remember correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong. But at that point, when the App Store launched, anyone could make something and sell it. That was the switch. When people saw, okay, I can create something that people want, that people need, and I can make money of it. So profit became the what am I going to call it?
Motivator.
The flywheel.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about incentives.
Yeah, it's all about incentives, always. And what Steve Jobs did was he combined all this, the touchscreen, the battery, the processor, and everything, and said, I want to make this as easy as possible. A child could use it. And when everybody, it's the grandma test all over again. Yeah, I have been drinking a little too much wine. I'm sorry.
No,
You're making so much
great.
sense, Moose.
You make sense.
Yeah,
So
it's
lucid.
clear.
So lucid.
The wine's
Wow,
helping.
it's,
Thank God.
it's
For sure.
lubrication.
Once
Yeah, this
once
is great.
Apple
I
together, they
I made a
created an
post.
atmosphere.
I made a post a couple of months ago, I think, that Kaspa needs to iPhoneize, and what I meant by that was relieve the friction of the technological friction to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just relieve the friction, and I think as Kaspa evolves, the friction will relieve per default. It has to. If it becomes more valuable, then people will find ways to make it easier to acquire, easier to use. I think that just happens, just like the iPhone. The value has to be fair. The value has to be there, and there has to be a sense of I can make money of this, some sort of profitability, to make people build things that make them that people want. Yeah, I'm gonna stop here. I'm getting a little bit too tipsy.
You're 100%
So
right.
good.
And I think another thing Apple did around that time was, if I'm not mistaken, was iMusic too, right? When the first Apple Music came out, you were allowed to, just like the App Store, upload your own. And then I believe it was a 50-50 split. So if you're an artist that couldn't get ahead, but you made a great song, you can make $1 million by charging $199 for one song, and they get 1 million downloads. So creating that ecosystem where people can come to And I believe this is where the real-time decentralization would come into play, where you can go to trust to give your own proof of work to this entity that can solidify your vision. You do have the room to grow, but it does seem to be down the line there as far as getting that that type of vision complete. So how do we get people even interested from the beginning, though? But the iPhone analogy is perfect, because Apple as a company, you're right, they didn't. The only thing Steve Jobs, truly invented was the Pixar animation. Believe it or not, if you guys didn't know that, but then Pixar animation changed the game. But everything, honestly, we can get into the Juan sentiment of things. Everything already exists anyway. So whoever has the best ability to harness that information and create the best playground for those to, really sandbox themselves and have a great time, I do think that's where Kaspa is going to end up. But I'm also, again, I'm the layman, and it's hard for me to express how pivotal Kaspa can be in that. But I would love to be able to express that, so people who are hearing us can go, well, fuck yeah, I'm going to go do that.
Well, Bishop, I think
precisely. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. No. I'll. You can come in, Parker. Go ahead.
No. I mean, Bishop. I mean, he summed it up. He summed it up perfectly. My incentive here is I don't have a million Kaspa. Okay. I just want more people to recognize the architecture, because people don't understand that there have been tries at many different kinds of applications that have failed, that will be able to be built on Kaspa. And I just want to keep the community going. Not that sentiment is bad or anything, but people need to understand that the product in the app hasn't been built there. And some products have been built. I mean, kudos to people. I'm not a builder. But I want people to realize that they should be telling their friends, they should be promoting this, because it's going to hit more and more people who they're going to look into this, and they're going to see something like Kaspathon, and they're going to be like, oh wow, I didn't realize the architecture that was here. I mean, even with payloads, there are numbers of things that are not possible on any other network, I mean, aside from crypto. And it's just yeah, I mean, there needs to be those killer apps, those killer products, and Kaspa doesn't have them yet. But there are many that are only possible on RTD, but not here yet.
Yeah, and that's to me, that's the exciting part, right? That comes after someone is onboarded. But the overwhelming theme here, and what I hear that's in common with everyone that's shared, is like, how can we bring this to people so that it makes sense to them right here, right now? And speaking of what Bishop talks about, like, all those things in concept are there. And what, if anything, I think the movement and what people should take home from this conversation is, like, Kaspa right now, the way it is better than anything else out there. Now, explaining that, and depending on where people are when you meet them, and what we tend to naturally do, is because we're excited about it, and we, like Moose talks about, there's so many different things that Kaspa does, but we're in this every day. Most people are still blind to all the benefits that even this industry is about. And going back to, Parker mentioned Satoshi and the original mission and all that, there's a lot of, we'll call it propaganda and stories and all that are dominating the sentiment. And naturally, people are going to go to the nominal figures in terms of what is it priced at, right? They're going to go there. But if you can simplify it in your way, I think as a community, we can just come back to, I think that's correct me if I'm wrong, or if somebody has a different opinion, but it really is about simplifying this, right? Victor shared that. He's like, I had Kaspa Silver up there, but Silver isn't really the narrative, because, man, now we're realizing, man, this is going to be something that sequences the world, right? He understands that now, and maybe understood it back then. But the messaging to onboard people right now, people are going to see a face and be like, oh, that's Victor. He was Kaspa Silver. He has all this content. So to me, it comes back to that, right? The cool thing about Kaspa is that, yeah, the RTD may be the end game, And there's so many of these apps that can be built. But speaking of what Moose talked about with where we are in the iPhone example, we're still, the App Store hasn't been built. People can't come on, we'll call them like normies and all that, in terms of them building on it, right? Egra's building the layer 2s, and there's so much being built out. That comes after somebody's onboarded. So yeah, Parker, you may not have 1 million Kaspa, but that doesn't even matter. It's like you have at least one. And that's really what it's about. Like, can you get one Kaspa in somebody's hand? And that's where I go with it. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you my entire story. I'm trying to make a connection right here, right now. And, you know, I have so much to share, and I've shared so much about what this technology is a very energetic, spiritual thing for me. My entire family is onboarded to Kaspa because I'm very present to what it does for every individual in my family, right? So it really is about going there with it. You know, it doesn't necessarily, again, you got to meet people where they're at, and go to a connection, the storytelling, the share something authentic, something genuine, so that people can see the benefit for themselves. And if, you know, try to use as little of the jargon that you can in your real day life. And then once they're on board, like I have friends that are on X, and they'll come on here and they've been on the spaces. They're like, oh, you guys lost me halfway through. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of for us nerdy Kaspa people that like getting really in depth with it. So I just think it goes back to the basics, right? And if we're going to coordinate anything, it's like, how can we make this simple, and be on the same page with that?
I think too, part of the message I want to get across is coalescing around people who are building products. Kaspa, Seb, Coin Athlete has built, you know, the Kaspa News. Whether it's around Kaspa, and especially those on top of Kaspa, I think it's important to note, I mean, layer 2s are basically give a new foundation to build apps which currently can't be built on top of Kaspa. And there's a lot of nuances and things that come with that. And for those who haven't thought about that, I would encourage you to think about that. And you know, building apps and products directly on layer 1, and the difference between that and on a layer 2 programmability layer, and the trade-offs that come with doing that now. And then once programmability comes on layer 1, what that means later. There's a lot to think about there. But again, the message I want to spread is coalesce around products, the people building products, the narrative around products, not even value props, not even benefits, but products. What is this going to bring? Whose industry is this going to impact? And how would this make someone's life better? Not only in 5 years, but also now with even some of the limited applications we have. Although again, limited applications, not from the sense that the applications aren't great, because they are, but in the sense that the layer 1 is limited to certain use cases.
So
Yeah,
real quick, Seb, let me I just want to say something to Parker there, because I hear you, and there's 2 things happening right now. And Seb, I was going to touch on yours. You have CAS maps going on, which is a very informative, great service that's built and using right now. And Kaspa is doing something completely different too. But theirs is so industrial that retail isn't even going to have the ability to be necessarily associated with it directly, right? We might feel the net benefits as community holders, or even as those who have trickle down effects from how they structure their business. So there are multiple things we can promote right now. But in the speak about it aspect, were you saying more or less what we can touch right now as users? So like promoting CAS maps, or for Kasme, his kasmart.org. Is that kind of one and the same that you're talking about, Parker? And then after that, Seb, go ahead.
It's both. It's also using your skills to step up and contribute around the ecosystem. So I have my skills, business development. I've been talking to people who are doing Kaspa projects as to how I can contribute. Some people are builders. They step up and they just build. Some people just step up and they promote other people's projects without even talking to the people inside those projects. And then there are some people who, yeah, I mean, you could go and you could talk to people who are working on these various initiatives. You can get involved behind the scene, and you know, you yourself can take a personal stake in making sure that not only Kaspa succeeds, but various Kaspa projects can succeed. And I think a lot of people don't realize just how open this community is and how you can use your skills on a variety of levels to get involved.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, let me first take the hook on CAS maps, because there are. Now, let me first talk about the new addition that I have made in CAS maps, and that is also a resource hub and also a marketing hub. And that is also for people, if you want to start a project for marketing or promoting Kaspa, you can coordinate it over there. It has all the campaign information, or campaign flow and task splits for everybody, so people can offer their skills to join a campaign or to do certain tasks, just to improve the marketing efforts of anybody really. I will be talking about that more later on separate talks that I will be organizing myself, just to explain the tooling and how it can be useful. So that is a little hook here. Next to that, there are different audiences, target or personas that you want to target. One is the retail. Just to there are many more, but two big personas. One is retail, that is using Kaspa as a payment, like Kaspa accepted here. I think Chat nailed it really, with Kaspa accepted here with Kaspa as money, and the other is powered by Kaspa, with Kaspa as an infrastructure. And both have many different target audiences also on their own, but I think it's a good starting point if you want to do anything in promoting Kaspa, to wonder, okay, which part will I be addressing, or which audience will I be addressing, and what will be the message that I want to bring forward. So that's just that you can understand that all contributions are good, and you cannot do everything at the same time. But I do think that we as a community, we can all get certain tasks that are that we have a fit with our skills, and put that to good use. And yeah, that's the hook that I wanted to insert extra. What I wanted to say, that was that for Kaspa, for current use cases that we can also talk about. I mean, with energy, with the KI, it's very useful for them because they have the real-time, immutable timestamps and confirmation of what has happened. And that's not just the timestamps, but also the extra information to that. Some other, just to put it out there, it could be everything that is pay as you go. So like also with telecom, with bandwidth usage, stuff like that, and that you are paying that. But also IoT, machine to machine, everything that you can say, or anything that you offer as a service that you can do micro payments with. And there are thousands of opportunities for that, but that is more business to business. But I do see Kaspa having a very high chance of also becoming the standard once people understand that it will be real immutable payments. And so yeah, you cannot, you are sure you are being paid. So the risk of not getting your money, it disappears. So yeah, that's, and also with the smart cities, with all those robots that will be flying, stuff like that, they will communicate with each other, and they need to have the payment at the moment that they do the transaction, or if they get ordered to go somewhere. So yeah, but this is for the people who are in those industries. For retail, it's of course something different. But if somebody is listening who is in such an industry, take a good look at Kaspa, because Kaspa can really take out a lot of friction and risks. So that's what I intended to say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
spot on.
that's
Spot
yeah.
on. The robots aren't going to wait. Like Bishop has waited what 3 weeks for his check to clear. So
Before they,
Caspa's it. Caspa's it. Go ahead, Parker. Cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say that Seb is spot on about many things, and I think yeah, I mean, like, just for my part, like, I know people know that I've been working in the ecosystem, and I think it's just important to know that everyone can just contribute their skills. I don't know how else to say that, and just there's so many things that need to be worked on, and there's a lot of people. So like, I'm an orchestrator. I like to bring people together, and so like, as people are talking in this conversation, right, I'm mentally noting like, okay, as this comes up in the future, like, I know who to reach out to. I already messaged Seb something like, hey, I noticed you can add value here. Like, I want to add you over here. So Seb, check your DMs. But you know, like, it's so like, that's my role that I'm playing, and I think everybody could play that role in some sense. Not everyone's an orchestrator, not everyone's a builder, not everyone's been a consultant like Seb, not everyone's a salesperson who breaks things down really well, simply like Juan. Not everybody's managing 3 different technical things over there like Bishop for this podcast, but and people don't have the industrial connections that Kaspa Industrial Initiative has. Not everyone's like Chad with all of these different marketing structures that he has in his brain to break things down. Not everyone is like Moose, where he explains things in his ways and adds value with all of his posts and to my life, just with the messages he sends me from time to time. Coin Athlete, building his things over there. You know, I could say the same about many people in this group. And I think for everyone else in this group, I would just encourage you to spend some time thinking about the various things that have been brought up today, where you fit in. Reach out to me, reach out to Moose, reach out to Seb, reach out. I mean, sorry guys, if you don't want your DMs blown up or something, but you know what I mean? And yeah, just get on Blockchain Banter, get on Juan's and Bishop's podcast, you know, all this stuff, and just get out there, get involved. I've only been involved for 2 months, and I know pretty much everyone who I mean, or at least have talked to at some point, who's a public Kaspa stakeholder. I can't encourage people enough. It's so easy. It's so much fun. And we all should benefit. You can personally benefit. So yeah, that's my pitch.
Well said, Parker. That
100%.
was beautiful. That was so beautiful. You're so right. I mean, you're talking that you've spoken with Jonathan and Michael, and I'm like, okay, man, I've been here. I met Jonathan briefly in London, but you're having me step up, man. So we appreciate you, and you're absolutely right, man. Beautiful job orchestrating, and it is about everybody bringing their gifts. Go ahead, Moose.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Facebook versus X. And Facebook did, you can post anything and everybody sees it. Then you can have messaging between each other. And then you can have trading like Facebook markets, you know. And X is going the opposite way. It's like they want to have the first part, right? But then they want what I think they want is have a marketplace for people, just like Facebook marketing, and then they want X payments. And I think Kaspa made payments first. Then we get socials, and then we get a marketplace. So go from that.
So you're saying there's an opportunity on, I mean, I've had a Facebook account. Well, I mean, you guys know how old I am, but I one way back in 06, but I literally haven't logged on in probably a couple of years. Is there, I just noticed that the Kaspa, in terms of learning about Kaspa, the communities here on X, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm curious of anybody else's thoughts. If there's an opportunity, should we Facebook live? Is there still Facebook Live? I mean, we're about spreading this wherever we need to, right, Bishop?
Yeah,
We get it
still
going.
Facebook Live. I got buddies in the UK who do a wrestling podcast that do their lives on Facebook because the barrier to entry for monetization on Facebook is better than YouTube and Twitch and even Twitter. So they do their stuff there. I don't really like the interface on Facebook, and I'm not a tech guy, but I wanted to shout Parker out for shouting me out because the proof of work has paid off. We got Gonzo on the YouTube live because he kept rugging on X. So putting that proof of work in means we can still engage with the community. And if that looks like we have to go to Facebook as well, but yes, we will get there too. Why not?
Yeah.
To the guest on Juan's side, some construction worker just walked past the video. Yeah, I mean, the putting in the proof of work, and again, that's just the double entendre that we can use there, right? That proof of work is important because that's kind of what we've been talking about today anyway, is how can we put in the work to continue that growth? So if it puts us towards Facebook, then yeah, we'll do that too.
Yeah, that's where we are. You know, you and I talked about this. It's like we started this off on. Can you guys still hear me? Because I felt like my.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. You know, we started this off as like, okay, we live on the and Bishop is the one who came up with the name live live on the Kaspa standard, and it's like, all right. Well, okay, yeah, there you go. You sound like Juan, that Juan guy. So it was you who came up with it. And I'm like, let's go with it, you know. And it was about being on Vivor and promoting the fact that the money layer is there. At the same time, you know, what the way this has evolved is it's really about let's go where we need to go. Wherever we need to go is where Kaspa needs to be. And again, I think that's a big part of this conversation. It's like, so you go where you need to go. Like Parker talks about, bring your gifts. Like Chad talks about, share your story, connect. You know, it's really everybody that is shared here is building, has been involved in the community. I see, you know, some other people in the crowd out there. So we appreciate, because I think this is the most people that we've had on one of our live streams. So we appreciate everybody joining live. We appreciate people that are going to listen in later. But again, it really, I do think that there is a major opportunity here, Bishop, with us like going wherever we need to go and getting this message out.
On the live stream, which I just muted myself to other platforms, amazing. On the live stream on Twitter right now for live on the Kaspa.kas, and if you guys haven't followed that account, please follow. Because again, we're going to try to streamline our focus for live on the Kaspa standard to be communicated there. But we have 402 viewers right now on live on the Kaspa.kas, just watching the video there and listening. And we have 4 on YouTube. So we're literally touching probably close to 500 people right now, 500 listeners in some way, shape, or form. Again, first episode was just me and Juan talking back and forth on Vivor, and we had three of the developers there as well. So this show will continue to grow, and we will meet people where they're at with whatever skills we have to bring it there. And I'll keep trying not to have everyone rub.
Well, and we, you know, like Parker said, it really is about reaching out to people, DMing each other, coordinating as much as you can, talking to each other as much as you can. Like right now is the time to work. Right now, I shared it earlier in the show that I'm ready to. I'm a worker. I've been studying this stuff for 2 years, and I don't care how small you think what you're doing is. Even if you think like, I don't want to, because Bishop was like this initially. Oh, I don't want to bug Juan. Just hit it, send a DM, say what's up, connect on Cassia messaging. We just need to keep connecting, and you're not gonna bug me. I will speak for the rest of you. You're not gonna bug any of these guys. We're all in here to work. We're gonna see this out, right? Like we see the long-term vision of what Kaspa can bring. And it happens with proof of work. So we're down to do this, and let's just keep connecting. Super critical.
Yeah, 1000%. And that's something that I've again recognized about this community. It's not just operating in truth, how we all want to be as informative as possible, but I believe Parker said it earlier, being on here and just talking about this. And Juan, that's something me and you, we talk about on the side. You actually just sent it about something else today in a voice note. You're like, no, having the conversation about this specific thing also just does it. The transfer of knowledge and data, and reinforces your own ideas and beliefs, or even questions your own ideas and beliefs into what then becomes what the full truth is. So we always approach with truth. It's why it's so frustrating to talk to, let's just call them different coiners, whoever it is, that we know we're telling the truth. So if you have the ability to listen to the truth, then we have the ability to continue to have a conversation, which is where, the podcast you guested on last week was. It's like, no, everyone's speaking truth right now. And shouts to Kaspa Teacher, and there's Kaspa Hub on there too. There's a couple of you guys out there.
They were on here. Yeah.
Yeah, and the inability to receive truth is where the disconnect comes from. So that's why, yes, this is an echo chamber, but or an echo chamber, if you will, because we are echoing each other's sentences. But we don't just say, yeah, if you hold it, you're using it. No, we're not here for that. We're not here to champion that type of sentence.
That's not how proof of work works, by the way. That's one little, that's not how it works.
It's literally proof of stake, right?
Yeah. They're repackaging and going back on those. So we have an opportunity here, man. We have an opportunity for this to play out the way it initially was intended for, but it's only going to play out based on how much we're willing to work and put in. Like, the energy that you put in is the energy that you put out, right? Or the energy that you get out of it. So what you're willing to put in is what you're going to get out of it. And that's really what this is about. So I do think, like Parker mentioned, like Chad mentioned, this is an opportunity for us to, again, it's a decentralized protocol, but don't confuse that for discoordination. Like, there does need to, it sounds like the theme is there. Like, let's get this spreading. Let's simplify this for people. Let's share our stories. Let's be authentic. Get one Kaspa in people's hands. Like, that's a huge mission of mine. If you have a conversation with me, you're getting a Kaspa. It's 4 cents. And we have the example of what that's done for. I thought, whatever the sentiment, and not to get into it or anything like that, but my examples, like I shared in my story, it's like, I just held Bitcoin from 2018, but I've never onboarded anybody to that. And like, we have an opportunity to do that with here. So like Chad said, it's not about talking shit about any of the other coins, or, I'm always forever going to be grateful for what Bitcoin started. But speaking of what Bishop has brought up several times, it is about truth. Just speak truth. It's easy to navigate the world when you're just in truth and not trying to make up stories, right? Like, just be in truth, and people naturally are going to flow this way. It's only a matter of time. But we do got to put in the work.
I want to hop in too. So you said not shitting on other coins. It's so important to note that Kaspa has sat back and built some of the best architecture, network architecture. I mean, depends on your perspective, I think, ever. And we've gotten to sit back while many of these other cryptocurrencies build out, and we should be grateful for, not shitting on, build out all of these great other things. Bitcoin is being adopted in ETFs. Ethereum has built out smart contract technologies. ZK proofs, I think that started with Zcash, if I remember correctly. ZK proofs, covenants, I mean, all of this stuff now is here for us to take and implement in our way on the Kaspa protocol. And if you believe that Kaspa is a superior architecture and that we can move quickly and adapt some of these technologies better because we're building it on a better base, then you see the opportunity. But that doesn't mean we should be shitting on other coins. And I cannot emphasize this enough, how professional and serious it looks if we understand the nuance here of the technologies we're able to adopt that it's important to talk about trade-offs and how our architecture is compared to other cryptocurrencies. It's also important to acknowledge the technology we currently don't have, but can implement a lot quicker and better in certain ways. Yeah, and then there was something else I wanted to emphasize, but I totally lost it.
Well,
Well, just to hit on that, Parker, because I know that you put up posts on, hey, some of when you've had conversations with the devs about, think about what these other coins have done and what they've brought to the market and how the development team is working and how they're building it out. And I even get it. I've never personally spoken with Michael, but I get it from his energy and how he shares and what he's talked about when I've on the podcast. So for me, I channel that, right? And I'm going to tell you I'm going to tell you as the sales guy that I've never burnt out in any business that I've launched or worked in, because I cannot, so you think about we'll call it like the narrative or a sentiment around like what a sales guy is that's pushy and pushing their shit on. That's kind of the energy that we get from the other coins right now. They're, they have those sayings like have fun staying poor. Like, let them do all that. They're gonna burn out. And look what's happening now with the price in nominal terms going down. Your energy will be sustained if you stay in your truth and just speak on what things are. And again, you share from there and you come from there. And that is the feeling and the sentiment I get. And you shared it again on some posts on what it's like with Michael. And that's what I felt with Jonathan, So that's being channeled with how I do things. And I encourage you guys, just come from there and you're going to figure, even if you don't know, hey, well, how can I contribute? Just come from there and you'll figure it out. It'll come from there.
I remembered what I wanted to say. So what I was going to say is, so blockchain banter is an hour, 45 minutes. Don't know if I'm going to get on, but again, what I would echo is that this sentiment. This is my call to action, is that again, coordination. The DAG Kaspa does not, it follows. I mean, if you watch the structure, right, it follows a single point and it all coordinates together. It's a consensus. We also need to be that consensus, and much like the DAG, as the blocks point to other blocks, we all need to be in each other's DMs and pointing to each other and communicating with each other, just like the DAG. I mean, I don't like sometimes being over analogizing things, but I think it's so important to realize, because I think a lot of people here are really look up to Kaspa technology and realize that much like a block in the DAG and how it points to many other connections, you can do the same in using your skills to connect with other people and then contribute to the consensus, contribute to the structure of what we have going on here. And this will only make it wider, will only make our efforts matter more, and will ultimately obviously benefit us all in fiat terms, but also it's just fun. It's rewarding, and it's just a worthwhile journey if you're already here. So reach out to me. I'm sure a lot of these other people have their DMs open as well. Mine are certainly open if you feel like you can contribute. And again, I can't be the only, person speaking. Please, on blockchain banter amongst other people where you have time in front of the community, echo this message of decentralization, but how there's still connection amongst the people who are decentralized. It just means that if I disappear, Chad and Moose and Juan and Bishop are still going. If Chad disappears, Moose, Bishop, and Juan are still going. Not that me or Chad are going to disappear, but it's just one example of how that's supposed to work. And that if any one of us gets cut off, it's still going, but it's still revolving around the same central narrative, these central philosophies, et cetera, et cetera.
Parker, I think you should enter into the Kaspathon and create a DAG structure of people. And you could put our heads as a consensus and show all the offshoots and the people that were reaching, and it can continue on forever. And yeah, if one of us goes, the good thing is that we're never orphaned, so that's good. But the structure continues. But a beautiful picture. It is so true. We're heading in a direction. There is a consensus. We're connected to each other. Make those connections intentional, but realize that we're on a journey. We're on a path. We got work to do, right? So it's not a meandering, casual path that we're walking on. This is very intentional. And if we can connect to that human consensus along with the technological consensus, I think it's a beautiful picture. But that would be a really cool illustration.
analogy, I also don't want to be a throughput limiter, right? I don't want to
No,
be the only
yeah.
person saying this. I also don't
Exactly.
necessarily want to be the leader. So that's why I don't know if I'm going to be able to get on Blockchain Banter. Guys, I have my 9 to 5. I'm not rich or anything, right? So it's like other people to take this, make it their own. Don't even make it mine. Don't even say I said it. This is the decentralization, guys. This is how it's truly supposed to be, okay? Take these ideas, take them, make them your own, decide what's good on its own merit, decide what is the truth, and coalesce around these ideas. This is the consensus. This is what I understand Jonathan to be talking about. If this isn't what he means, he should really let me know, or somebody else, because I certainly don't speak for him. But this is what I understand to be much closer to this vision we're supposed to have. Please make it better, build on it. You don't even need to credit it to me. Just take it better, build on it, bring it somewhere else. That's my call to action.
Fantastic.
And scene.
We had another speaker.
Mic drop.
Join the ranks. STP, welcome to the show. Welcome to the board. Go for it.
Yeah, hello. Sorry to interrupt, but you were talking about the reach of your X space that you're holding right now. So live on the Kaspa standard. I'm following this a few weeks now, and you see indeed that there is an increase in interest. So what I thought that would be interesting is I made an X account, and the name is Kaspa Content Calendar. I shared it in the comments. It's all about gathering upcoming every live stream events, X Spaces, YouTube live streams, V4 streams concerning Kaspa, lined up in one place by date. Weekly, I would post the upcoming events in the Kaspa space, a place to go to for all Kaspa events in one place. I intend to post on this X account every week all the upcoming events lined up by date with the links to the events. So people have an overview of all the events and when they take place, and then live instead of listening later. So for now, I have the following people on my radar: blockchain banters. They do spaces twice a week. Live on the Kaspa standard. It's every Monday. Then XXEM podcast. Sometimes they go live. Kaspa's Silver's YouTube page. CryptoPumps Banters live stream on YouTube. Scape Squad sometimes goes live and talks about Kaspa. So I shared the link of the X profile in the comments. Is it a stupid idea, or what are your thoughts? Thank you.
Hell no, it's not. That's beautiful. That's right. That right there is
Yes.
putting in work and taking
Yes.
action. So thank you, STP.
This is the gap.
That's what it is right there. Look at how this started, and by the end, well, I don't know if we're at the end. Bishop probably wants to go another few. I got to pick up my son in like 30 minutes.
Don't make
but
okay.
but
Hey, I
no,
gotta get back to
STP,
work.
this
We're
is
all
beautiful.
good.
This is beautiful, man. Thank you for doing that. There's a couple other things out there too, but you can't have enough of this. You can't have enough of it. And no, thank you for sharing that and posting it up. This there's going to be the Blockchain Banter show right after this, and there is another show that they run on YouTube now, Crypto Pumps, and his name is Jay Quick Crypto. They started, I think they're going on episode 3 tomorrow on Tuesday nights. So there's 3 episodes for Blockchain Banter. We're going to expand here. We're probably going to do a few other slots, other days. Again, it's not about us. It's about just we are passionate about what this protocol can do for people, and we're just ready to work, man. We're ready to work. So like Parker said, it's like I don't give a shit if I say something and you take it for your own and you share it. Just get out. That's the decentralization part of it, and what's beautiful about what we're doing here. It's not about who gets credit for it. Like if you hold Kaspa, you're going to benefit from it. You're going to benefit from it in nominal terms over time. So no, thank you. That's my take on that. Go ahead, Bishop.
So if we want to make this a little success, so I posted it in the comments. If you can like the X account, and I will do a weekly update of every upcoming event. So this will grow. I hope this will grow, and then there is a place to go to. You can find interesting Kaspa. That's
Yeah,
That's
okay, you already have an intro post. I'm gonna retweet it. I would recommend everybody else do the same. Is this the intro post you want us all to retweet? Because I'll echo this.
Retweet, follow, all of that. I mean, that's part of why we created the Live on the Kaspa Standard account, is so we can have that identity for what this show is as it expands to be what it becomes, and everything there will be localized, right? The the tough word in crypto is centralized, right? Have these centralized locations where we can put all our information. It's a brilliant move, STP, and we appreciate it as a community, because this is exactly what we're looking for, right? If there was in essence, a Kaspa radio station and we're all the DJs, by all means, we want to all be in the same place. Blockchain Banter talks about it every week. We need more spaces, and we support each other. And actually, Lavendi comes in here every once in a while just to get his vocal cords ready for what's happening at 4 o'clock. And we make that, verbal, nonverbal promise. We're off in time for people to get a little bit of a break. We try to end by 3 o'clock Eastern every week, just so we don't even run into that. But we also understand our niche as well, right? We are live on the Kaspa Standard. Not to be, I mean, it is a cool name, but not just because it's a cool name for what it could be, but it's also the life that we're living, right? It's about everyday people doing everyday shit. Where if you go to Blockchain Banter on Mondays, they're usually talking to a dev or some type of real world use case utility creator, and you're getting in-depth shit. And those hosts, I love Chris and Lavendi so much. They're the first ones to go, fuck, I got to listen back to this like 2 or 3 more times, And that's the type of brilliance that goes on that show, right? Wednesday nights for Juan and Kara is beneath the surface. They want to speak about what's happening, and then the associations with the sovereignty and other aspects that those things touch. So everyone having their own space within this community is beautiful. Going to a place to see where all that exists, by all means, STP, it's a brilliant fucking move, and we appreciate it for sure. So everyone, make sure you follow, like, or like every tweet on there. But follow that account, so everything, and we keep that going. So these no coiners or Bitcoiners or whoever, when they see this particular thing that pops up, oh, here's all my Kaspa information. This is where I can go to find all that shit. By all means, dude, great application for what we're doing here, and meeting people where they're at. You're doing it on X, right? It's not, oh, make sure you click on K Social to find all the shows. No, right here on X, this is the information we're giving to you. So thank you, STP, for creating this.
Yeah, and just one note, and then I will stop talking. I just made it now during this space, so I will make it more professional in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Definitely meeting the need. I love that. I think I get a little bit confused. This is the thing, right? This is a thing. The ecosystem. They can go.
Is Parker Rogan, or is that me?
I can hear him.
And I just want to comment too on something that Juan said, which is that, and this is where the alignment is, right? You can buy a piece of the protocol and participate in the social consensus, and you can get the benefits. And there's still some altruism involved, because you kind of have to trust that doing that. Again, this is why I encourage us all to connect, trust with relationships, and everyone can actually coordinate, and we can all benefit. It doesn't have to be, because I feel like it's the best network for the world and all this other stuff, and it's going to make the world a better place. Like, I could also do it because it can also help me, live and pay expenses and life and stuff. Kinds of benefits. Yeah. So, and it's not about the credits, because you can buy a piece of the network and you can get the credit that way too. And that's just what's fantastic about all this. Not financial advice, by the way.
Yeah, Parker, but I think you hit home on the opportunity, and what I do think that there is a cognitive dissonance. Like, and I'm going to go to the proof of work Bitcoin starting this, right? And I'm going to mention him because he's one of my favorite Bitcoiners and how he speaks on Bitcoin. And to me, he's already a Caspian. He just doesn't know it. But Jeff Booth, if you're familiar with him. but he talks about how the natural state of a free market is deflationary. And when, he obviously speaking on Bitcoin, he says, as long as Bitcoin stays decentralized, secure, and bounded by energy, it is repricing the debt-based system in nominal terms. It's just really hard to look at that if you're seeing it from a lens of what the debt-based system is. Now that takes a little bit of depth and really going in and really understanding the nominal part of how that works and how things are priced. But again, just to simplify that, right? If you just take it, the best store of value that we've had for 5,000 years in gold and seeing what that's done, and silver being another precious metal that exists outside of the system, those two precious metals in fiat terms are signals of the stress that's happening within the debt-based system. Now, Kaspa's at a drawdown because this is still looked at as because we're really early to this technology. Bitcoin's only 17 years old. So this is, listen, I'm an investor. I've built businesses. There's certain deals that I've gotten into that I've been able to get into because I'm an accredited investor. You have to make a certain amount of money to be able to invest in these deals that produce cash flows. For the first time in history, you literally are getting those types of benefits when you're buying Kaspa. It's still getting to a place where I can, because Bishop and I go back and forth on these conversations because it's beautiful what we do going back and forth, but we're still so early to this, and there still is a disconnect in really understanding, hey, you're going to benefit not just in nominal terms, you're going to benefit in so many other areas of your life, and you'll see. Like, we're obviously we've talked about this, we're super early to this technology. And Kaspa is building a base layer unlike anything we've ever seen. We don't have a frame of reference for this. That's why I appreciate so many people in this space. Like, I'm going to shout Gonzo out. Like, I understand Kaspa better because of Gonzo going after these Bitcoiners and really explaining, because he knows Bitcoin better than any Bitcoiner I've ever talked to, including Jeff Booth. So, and other people in this space that have educated us the way they have. So I just wanted to speak to that, because it's like, yeah, you're right. All you got to do is, it's not just about hoarding it. That's kind of been the lesson for me in the past year. Yeah, you can do that and you will benefit in a way, but you're going to take it to another level when you're also working on you're putting in that proof of work that we talked about. So that's what we're doing here on Live on the Kaspa Standard. We want to connect as many people as we can. It's not about Live on the Kaspa Standard. It's not about Bishop. It's not about me. It's not about every single individual. It's really about the collective and how this is going to raise the standard of living for people. That's really another huge opportunity here.
1,000%. And again, that's why these conversations are so important, and the ability to listen. That's again why I stayed in Kaspa as opposed to trying to force myself into Bitcoin. It's because I heard what was true. And I remember the first time Gonzo came onto a space, I believe it was the Wednesday night show, and I heard him talk. And after like 3 sentences, I got on to speak, and I'm like, I apologize for never following you. You tell us everything we need to know in like 3 sentences. He's just a brilliant speaker of what is true. And I believe now he has to fuck off, because I believe that's what Bitcoiners tell him all the time. So fuck off Gonzo's the new t-shirt that needs to come out. Yeah. So but yeah, or fuck off Gonzo.kas. Is that where we're sending our tips to, Gonzo? But no, it's the ability to listen and the ability to stay in truth is where Kaspa is. So I would love to just keep these. I mean, this is what we do anyway. But yeah, kind of figure out what that centralized vision looks for. Again, from the heading, right? Here's feature. This is what we're trying to explain, and just keep these conversations going.
Yeah, man, this has been a great conversation. I'm really best one yet, right? Yeah, Bishop.
I don't think it's close. Yeah,
it's not even. Yeah, and like 100x every other conversation. We got heavy hitters on here. We got people listening in. Yeah. We appreciate the community, man. This has been fun. If it was just me and you, Bishop, I mean, Bishop and I go back and forth on voice notes all day, just talking about everything. and I appreciate that about you, brother. Like I've
Yeah.
been able to learn just as I know you say, again, talking about like me being on these levels.
Yeah.
I'm right here right now, brother. I'm right here right now. And I just, I get so much energy from these conversations. So I just appreciate everybody who's chimed in for the on the panel and given us their energy. That's really what they've done, is given us their energy, their knowledge. It's going to go a long way.
And Juan and Bishop, you guys deserve credit. I mean, again, it's not about the credit, sorry, but you guys,
I'll take it.
so at the very, I messed it up for a sec, but you know, I think I speak for all of us, or at least many of us here, when I say thank you for bringing us all together. This conversation wouldn't be happening without you. So I would just take a moment to reflect in that, and if anything that comes out of this, like, you started that, and while it's not about the credit, I think there's something worth being, just, you know, taking some.
No, look, I completely appreciate that, and look, some of you guys had heard that I experience therapy. I go through the process and thing, and part of my issues is acceptance. So when people tell me good job, it does make me feel good, and I will take the credit. But it also, it actually, what it does is it reinforces what you spoke to earlier, Parker, is what do we bring to the table? So if I bring to the table the ability to have these conversations and, again, bring a layman's perspective when it comes to conversation. Yes, I know how smart I am. Yes, I know if I wanted to be a dev, I can earn my way through that. It's not my slot in life, and I'm well aware of that. But these compliments and even just the hundreds and the claps and the high fives and all that shit from the emoticons in the Twitter spaces, the comments through YouTube and X, like, those are enough to say, okay, we are in the right space. We're up over 510 active viewers. Like, this space has grown and grown and grown just in this particular moment. So that lets us know we're on the right track. And I do appreciate that. And as we know, the feedback is important. And Parker, I sent Parker a voice note right away after I read the tweet. We need to talk about this. What you said is absolutely what we're looking for. How do we figure it out? And I know I inspired some group chats and shit. So, like, yeah, I'm down for it, but I don't want credit for that. I do want credit in the sense that my space is solidified here, and I know that's what I bring to the table. So I appreciate that, and I will own that shit.
I think it's a lot less about, like, I think in a lot of communities and in a lot of, like, companies, for example, like, it's about passing the torch around, the leadership torch. But I think the unique thing about Kaspa is we can all have a torch and have the torch, right? We can pass the flame on to the next person. And I would just encourage people to think about that, and think about how maybe I or Juan or Bishop or Chad, like, kind of lend you that flame today, right? You're holding this torch that didn't have a flame, and it gave you that flame. And now, precisely, like, what are you going to go do with that? Who are you going to connect with? How are you going to contribute?
And offer it back to us. For instance, Elliot, who's in the show, he came on the show, spoke once, offered up some information offline, and then, asked to come back. And, we didn't quite line up the time, but he did come in that following episode, and we have that conversation. We have no problem you bringing it back to us. So if anyone who's in here, hey, can you guys make sure that I can speak next time? Or, I mean, I don't think we've ever denied a speaker, right, Juan? Like, we don't prevent anyone from bringing up their truth.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
No, this is about free flowing and conversation. We don't even plan these out. Like, we knew somewhat what we were going to talk about. There's no agenda. There's no agenda. So this is about free flowing and convo and sharing what needs to be shared right now. That's what this is about.
I once told Juan that I'm good at sifting through chaos and then organizing that chaos. And I think he misunderstood that when it comes to show preparation. But it does make a great conversation. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, like, that's, again, it's the fucking conversation. It's always the conversation. information. It's got nothing to do with anything else.
No, I'm about Opera. I've said it before, but right now, in the source.
No, 100%, 100%.
Sound settlement layer provide. I think the energy's been absolutely off the charts. We want.
By the way, I see Coin Athlete. He was in here before. He's not here anymore. App on Google Play, and he said it requires 12 testers for 14 days before public release. Again, this is a way where a bunch of people could just step up to test. If you have the time or you want to, get all over the pin post, guys, DMs, and
Hello. I'm just asking synergy purpose of Cassia and K social. If we could integrate within K social, that would be a major leap. So I'll go from that.
interesting idea. That's social platform has its messaging system.
Well, it was one of the things that intrigued me about Vivor, and you know, I know the devs have their own thing to do over there, but they had the video, and then they didn't have a adequate chat storage system, so they added, I believe it was Cassia messaging to that, so the message platform operated that way. And there's going to be something that's going to integrate audio, video, chat all in one at some point. I'm not sure what that's going to take, but when it happens, we'll be there live on the Kaspa standard for sure.
Yeah. So first of all, it's great to be here with all you guys. You know, I work. I think on LinkedIn and Parker on LinkedIn, but you know, there was like the AI thing that hit and people getting laid off. People still may be getting laid off. So, you know, I was just kind of going through and still doing some research and looking for crypto. I was actually thinking about doing some algo trading. That was going to be my next thing. I was going to do some algorithmic trading. And while I was doing some research, I stumbled upon Kaspa as a proof of work concept that was similar to Bitcoin. And so I did like this like Olympic deep dive into it. And then, you know, started buying some, of course, once I found out where I could get it. But I don't know, like I'm still like I'm bullish on it. I really am. I like the DAG. I like the infrastructure. I like the founder. I like in Israel and Iran right now, but you know, how does capital rotate into currencies? For instance, like something that you know I had to look at the Japanese yen carry trade, and how does that affect U.S. you know U.S. Stocks and bonds and things of that nature. So Cascade. Because I've even and I almost feel like it's the Dr. Pepper commercial where it's like, you're a Western fan, and so I have looked into Cubic, and I got a little bit of a position over there, but I kind of like their ecosystem to where you can stake, and what I'm trying to get back into is how eventually once some of these platforms launch on Eager Labs or whatnot, you can actually stake your CAS in Cascade and maybe earn some yields and returns, and even KO where you can keep your ownership, things like that. So I think that once those applications build out and are live, and people can actually use their CAS for something other than just sending it to somebody else. They can, I know CastSmart's there. That was great. I actually bought a coin on CastSmart. Shout out to Alley Gold. It actually came through, so that was pretty cool. So I got my CAS coin. So like I said, I'm bullish. I don't want to take up you guys' time just going on and on. I actually do have some dev experience and Spring, Java, Spring Boot Java, and some Flutter. That was a big transition from Spring Boot to Flutter and to Dart, and just the Apple ecosystem from a PC. But so I got some experience in that, and but now I see that there's some stuff with like Rust. So like they kind of did everything in Rust. I actually found Michael Sutton's GitHub with there's like a DApp code base for building applications. So I may look into that, but at the same time, like there's just a time constraint, and that's what money is in itself, is time, money, and energy. And I've always said that the energy part, it's time and money, but it's time, money, and energy too. And so, being able to find that balance between if you got a 9 to 5, you work and you got kids, you got parents, you got this, you got that, and then also being able to contribute to the ecosystem. So like I said, I got a background in like business and IT management and some software. So I'm just trying to figure out what I can do and where I could be useful. So I do have the change.org petition going around. So the idea was that would be like a good way of like garnering support a petition itself. Now, how far the petition will go, I don't know, but it also may just get some exposure to people. Like maybe it'll be that spark or that thing in their minds where there's like, well, what is Kaspa? They ask the questions, and maybe that gets them to do a little bit of their own research into what is Kaspa just by seeing that there's a petition from people who are trying to get it listed on Coinbase. So that was something that I was like, oh, I can do that. It won't take a million years to get done either. I can do this relatively quickly. So I did that, promoted it on Facebook. So I got a few people on Facebook. I think it was like 114 impressions. There's like 8 clicks. And so there has been some people signing up for the petition. I know there was a guy that I actually found when I was doing my research, how I found all you guys. I think his name was Rich, and he's part of the Rich Rains. I think he's part of the KII. And so I think we had went to the same university. And so I was like, this is a great time to maybe like network a little bit. So I reached out to him, and then I sent, he sent me a lot of information, including was the Kaspa, it was a book that somebody wrote. It was, it was on Amazon, and I think I may have put it on like my X page. And anyway, so like I had some free Audible credits. So and the book was on Audible, so I grabbed it. So anyway, so I sent him back the link from change.org, and he actually put like $50 on it, and it actually has gotten like 3 or 4 signatures on its own, just that $50 investment. And there was another maybe $10 investment that was anonymous. So I tend to think it was one of the guys that I follow on YouTube and watch some of his channels. So I'm always posting stuff on there. So when I have time, but look, I'm gonna let that be it. I just want to say hey, and I love the energy, love the everything that's going on. So.
Thanks for coming up. Yeah. Thanks for coming up and sharing everything there. So go ahead, Bishop.
Yeah, it was just the name of the book is the Book of Kaspa, realizing the Nakamoto dream. That was someone was talking about the book. That's the name of the title, the Book of Kaspa, realizing the Nakamoto dream.
in where things are right now. Yeah, it's just early, but what I can kind of be pretty confident in is everything you talked about is going to exist pretty damn soon, specifically in relation to how old Kaspa is, just being 4 years old. Go ahead, Elliot. Welcome back to the show. Good to see you, buddy.
Thanks. Yeah, I was wondering if anybody has spent any time on Discord in the Ecosystem Projects channel. I'm just wondering if this is the best place to find out of people working on different projects or teams or people, developers thinking about building something new. Yeah, just curious if anybody, if this is like the main place where this is happening.
It probably is, honestly. I've been in the Discord, but I really haven't spent a lot of time like outside of the general channel. So maybe I need to like explore some of the other channels, but it doesn't seem to be as active as I would like. Maybe that's because people are building. So but yeah, I'll check that out for sure.
I would think a lot of these people are probably in the Caspathon right now. Especially if there's a specific ask. I know somebody who's been helping coordinate Caspathon. Elliot, if you have a specific idea in mind, perhaps I could make a connection or something.
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's a lot of ideas, and I think a lot of the projects that come out, any of that really like get traction, are going to be very helpful for transactions and also driving the awareness and adoption. I've always thought, I've talked about this before on the channel, is something like a Twitch or live streaming on Kaspa. It makes so much sense for content creators and people to make money being paid in Kaspa and appreciating currency and asset, and many other reasons. But I've been talking to a guy, Austin Oakes, he works at Gemini, and he has his own channel on Twitch, for example, and he's very connected with crypto. And also I think Gemini would be great to have them list Kaspa as well. So he's just like one example of somebody who can really like broadcast Kaspa. And so far I only know of Vivor, and I haven't seen
Right.
that taking off just quite yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Vivor
I mean, if
definitely
someone else
does
wants to
it.
comment, I don't feel I'm good to comment there.
Yeah, no, Vivor is definitely great. I love it. But I had to end the Vivor stream today because the lag was actually affecting part of the latency that I was having with just the spaces having clear audio. I thought you guys were rugged on me, but it was actually something going on with Vivor. Not to disparage, I can touch base with the developers very soon. But yeah, I would love to see that expand more. We received a tip today on Vivor. All 5 casts went right through the layer 1 as a transaction. Like that's where we want to be. We have 2 KNSs for this show, live on the Kaspastandard.kas and LOTKS.kas. That's just something where if our energy is of value today and you guys wanted to reward us with some energy as well, that's our proof of work address, LOTKS.kas or live on the Kaspastandard.kas. But something like Vivor, the wallet's already attached, right? So if you guys chat and all that shit, it's all bang right there, which would be great. And I would love for them to expand it. But yeah, I mean, if go ahead, Millennial. We got about 2 minutes left.
Yeah, and I may have less than that because the power went out. It still hasn't came back on. I gotta go charge my phone in the car, I guess. But so the question was like, what type of app do you think would be most beneficial, though? Right? I mean, what kind of ideas do you got for apps that would need to be built? I mean, and right now it would just be kind of solo deving unless I can find somebody to partner with. But no, what do you think that should be built? What do you think that's going to be attractive? What do you think that could be marketed? And honestly, I think that once things are going to have to go to Facebook. Like I shared that link. They're going to need to go to TikTok. People are on TikTok. A lot of people talk about the attention economy or doom scrolling and things like that. So you got to have something that pops. You got to have something that's that people look at. Get eyeballs. Thumb stoppers is what it's been called. But also at the same time, it has to be something that has utility and value that people are like, okay, you need app retention, things like that as well.
No, that's a great point, and I think you're spot on. I do want to let y'all know that Juan has dipped on us from the video, so I do have to wrap this up. Chad, if you wanted to hop in real quick.
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously there's tons of apps we can do that are common, that things that people love and they use, and we can work on a Kaspa version. But if you check out our socials, and I think we actually have a page that starts to aggregate all the Powered by Kaspa posts, which is basically thousands and thousands of opportunities to disrupt in the real world. So you'll see them pop up every week, Powered by Kaspa, and it's usually related to some enterprise market or healthcare, logistics, whatever. And all the way through those, my goal was to inspire entrepreneurs and developers to build something that needs to be built. And so if you're interested, you could scroll through that. I think we're up to 25 posts that probably makes available thousands of ideas that are available. And most of these industries can be greatly disrupted by Kaspa's DLT and future implementation of smart contracts and whatnot. So I would just say check it out, and you could use those as kind of a possible checklist of what field are you most interested in. Here's the 100 things you could build.
And just to kind of cap that off, there's a quote that I heard of a long time ago, specifically to my other hobby in wrestling. Eric Bischoff ran WCW in the 90s. Anyone familiar with such? His quote when it came to competing with WWE was, "You need to be better than or different than." And when it comes to competition in a market like this, where everything already exists, you either have to create better or you have to create different. So trying to do X the way X does, it's pointless. But can you do it better? No. Can you do it different? By all means. So I truly see that with Kaspa. It is better and it is different than Bitcoin, right? And I know that's not what we're talking about, and not even willing to go down that path, but that's where I see truth in this. So when it comes to what to build, think about what you want, what you would use, and then can you be better or can you be different? I love the TikTok analogy, and maybe there needs to be like a Kaspa clips where stuff from this show, from all the other shows, from all the other content just goes through and then bang, swipe. But I don't know how that happens because I'm not that tech guy. So for me, what I would use is anything I use daily, I would love to do it on Kaspa. If Vivor worked better, we wouldn't even be on Spaces. So So that's my take on that. And
Yeah.
as we're about to hit the 3 o'clock mark, Juan, you're back with us. Go ahead, buddy.
No, beautifully said, and yeah, I appreciate everybody coming on and sharing what they've shared. But there's the big thing here is that there's opportunity. There's opportunity to build. We have to put things out, and we're operating in a free market, man. So what the free market wants, it'll jump to. And again, speaking on what we're doing here with Live on the Kaspa Standard, this started off with us just being on Vivo, and we're like, you know what, we just need to reach people and have these conversations and talk and go meet people where they're at, and eventually there'll be things built out where, like Bishop's talking about, like, hey, if we're going to build the K social, there might be competition to that. Who knows? But there's just massive opportunity here, and for now, we got to go wherever people are at, and they just need to know that Kaspa exists. Like Millennial said, there is no central marketing team. There's us coming together like this and spreading it as much as we can. And the beautiful thing is that we are early. We're super early. Kaspa just launched 4 years ago. And like Millennial mentioned how he found Kaspa is probably the way most of us found it. So that there's just massive opportunity with that. So go build what you think that the community needs, and put it out there. That's the big thing. So you can't be afraid to fail and try. And that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing with Live on the Kaspa Standard. That there is no script on what we think it's going to look like in the end. We're going to put stuff out, and we want to promote as much stuff as we can and just get it out there.
I have a simple slogan for everybody. It's called JFDI. You probably used it before. Just friggin' do it. And you can drop an F-bomb in there if you want. But JFDI, like I get people DMing me all the time, like asking for permission and I literally just type it in, JFDI. Just friggin' do it. So do it. The other slogan, and I'll close with this for me, is do what makes you come alive. And so don't just, do something because it's going to make you money or you think it's cool or whatever. What makes you come alive, do that and make it awesome. And if you can build it on Kaspa, awesome. JFDI.
I said this to Juan too. We were talking about the show, and I said, any advice I ever say when it comes to podcasting is step 1, give a shit. Step 2, try. Step 3, don't stop. And I believe that's exactly what he just said, Chad. So in this space, the second you give a shit and the second you try, you're really right where you need to be. I would like to end the rest of the speakers there. We have parental duties, as we've said before. What can we give to this community? While, as Kaspa Silver was saying, this is what we can provide. 12 to 3 is kind of where Juan and I fit our limit on Mondays. So for me, I want to thank Parker and Chad for being the catalyst for what we were building in the conversation today. You guys are 2 special people within this community that we hold your opinions so dearly, and we're glad that you can help spark this conversation. Moose, Kaspa Silver, Millennial Diamond, Elliot, STP, Seth for hopping on. I can't do this. I can't do this. Do you see this shit, Juan? You approved them.
I love it.
Why are you doing this?
I approve too. What are you talking about?
Kaspa.kai on the Monday, Live on the Kaspa Standard. I just went on Beneath the Surface on Wednesday and kissed his ass and said I'm a Rory. And now he's going to come on our show.
I invited him way at the beginning of the show. I invited
Rory. You got 30 seconds. I know that's not your strong suit, but you got 30 seconds.
Give him a little something to come back next week. A little teaser, Rory.
Guys, in about 10 or 15 minutes, we're going to drop what Igen Flow actually is.
Let's go.
I'll tell what you guys actually are. I'll tell you guys what it actually is. It's the first DAG native, the first block DAG native market maker that's ever existed. So it's specifically a L1 block DAG native market maker. It's never been done before. It's brand new, and we're dropping the research paper with all the maths behind it as well in well, we'll do a countdown. in about 10 minutes, we'll push the button.
My goodness.
Nice.
Look at that. Look at
You heard
that.
it first
30
here on
seconds
Live on the Kaspa Standard. Not that we want the credit, but you heard it here first.
Thank you
I
so
love
much.
how Juan just capitalizes on the marketing there.
I'm a sales guy, bro. I'm sorry. It's in my blood. I can't help it.
That's great. That's
All
great.
right, Juan,
Hey,
give
really,
us one
thanks,
more.
guys.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you.
for hosting. This has been great. Everybody, remember, decentralized coordination, not discoordination. There's a difference.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. This has been the best Live on the Kaspa Standards to date. Next one's gonna be better though. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
all right.
guys.
You got it.
Thank
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace.
Let me
See
do
ya.
the last bit of plugs. Follow Juan at Glitchin888. Follow myself at LOTKS.kas. Follow the show Live on the Kaspa.s. Check out youtube.com/ at Live on the Kaspa Standard. And just keep following and keep retweeting and keep tagging and keep engaging. This conversation we have Live on the Kaspa Standard is about truth, and we stay within truth. We have this conversation to move forward. This has been episode 13 of Live on the Kaspa Standard. Thank you all. Yo. What? Shit, there it is. What up, dude? You hear me?
Yeah, now I
Can you hear
can.
me?
I had the volume.
All right.
Yeah, now I can. Now I can. Yes, now I can.
Dude, we fucking murdered it. What a show, bro.
Yeah, bro. That's the synergy.